The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Some show tonight, guys. I can feel it. I feel it in my water, and by water, it means urine. I know I touched it. I wiggled on my hands. I could literally feel it. 03444 99 1000. There we go, you see. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. We've got Will Storr coming in whenever he turns up. I mean, he said he was going to be about 10:15, so he's still got 10 minutes to be on time. But, I mean, dear God, 10:15? What a weird time to agree. And you mark my words, when he comes in, he's going to get a right royal rollicking, Katherine. Late Night Alternative, Iain Lee. Katherine Boyle. Let's do it in harmony. Katherine Boyle. You do the same. You do the melody, and I'll do the harmony.
What's the melody, though?
Just your name.
Katherine.
No, say it normally.
All right. Katherine.
No, you're saying it like a dick. Just say Katherine Boyle.
Katherine Boyle.
Say it now.
Katherine.
You're doing the thing. It's going all ragga. Just say your name. Katherine Boyle. Say it.
Katherine
Boyle. There you go, that's it.
What the hell was that?
It was a failed attempt to start a vocal duo group in the style of Dollar. That's what it was. And the thing is, in this, I am the lady who I think was called Toulouse-Lautrec, and you're David Van Day. Therese Bazar. That was it.
I thought it was Pamela Bazar.
Therese Bazar. Therese Bazar. Wasn't Therese, wasn't Pamela, wasn't Toulouse. It was Therese Bazar. Here we go. Oh, that reminds me, actually, I've got to do some work at my home tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I've got to raise the bar. Dr. Ray's Bazaar. It doesn't work. I thought it was buzz. Bar. There's that buzz. Okay, fine. So, busy show this evening, dear listener. 0344 499 1000. What this show has needed for a long time, a really long time, is a campaign. Campaigns get you press. We're desperate to get press. It's season 4 of the Late Night Alternative. We've got another 12 months of this. And the way to get press, we've done press before, by eating a pig's vagina, by falling down a well, by faking being attacked by an owl, and by saving a man's life.
Can I just say I didn't do any of those things, especially not the vagina part.
Okay. But now, rule 5 is we need a campaign. We need a campaign. And here's the campaign we're going for. Forget kids who are dying. Forget old people that are dying. Forget anything to do with health, because that's just mucky. It's just a quagmire. It's just a quagmire. What we need, and I'm going to tell you this before you go downstairs to get our guest, who I believe has arrived. What we need is a campaign, and the campaign is this. We are bringing back, when you get off the bus, shouting up to the front,
"Thank you, driver."
"Thanks, driver." We're bringing that back. That's the campaign. Now, it's a tough one. It's a real tough one. I do it all the time, to the embarrassment of my kids. I don't think I've ever been on a bus with my kids. But what we need is audio and video clips of you, dear listener, using buses, and as you get off, "Thanks, drive."
Thanks, drive.
So you can say that. Yeah. "Thanks, drive." "Thank you, driver." Whatever. We need to bring this back. Are you with me or are you agin me? Tom, Dick, and indeed Abdul. 03444991000. Will Storr is in the building, Katherine. Can I send you on a mercy dash?
Yeah. When do we start getting cross with him? Once he's sitting down? Or can I do it up the stairs?
No. No. You be no. It's gonna be like the lion's den. You bring him up all nice and friendly. As soon as he comes in, I'm gonna rip him a new one. I don't know what you're typing, Amy, because I can't see it. Oh, he's up here. He can't hear us, can he? Oh, shoot.
Can I, when he gets in the doorway,
Good,
can I boot him in with my foot?
No, when he comes in,
Get in.
we're gonna rip this guy a new a-hole, because 10:15 is a very.
Who does he think he is?
He thinks he's some fancy swanky writer. As soon as he comes in, can he hear us now? Okay, fine. Then you shouldn't have let him in, Amy, so we can hear the plan. When he comes in, we're going to give him a He's there! Oh, God, look, I thought it was my reflection because of the guy. Will, come in! We're going to tear him a new one. We're going to tear him a new one. This is going to be awkward for you, dear listener. You might want to switch off. I'm going to destroy him. Here he comes. Come in, Will.
Here he comes.
Great to see you, buddy. Hello, mate. How you doing? Good to see you. Yes.
Good to see you again. How you doing, Katherine?
Sit, Will. Sit down.
Now, what's going on? I can hear
nothing. No, nothing.
Oh, no.
Catherine, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what was going on there. Get nice and close to that microphone because they're cheap. Catherine thought it was rude that you've decided to come in at this time of night, and I said Will is a very busy man. Will is busy. He's got a new book out, The Science of Storytelling.
Wow.
He was at a very important do today, probably to do with books and art and stuff, I'm guessing. And he can come in whatever time he wants. And she was like, "Oh, when he comes in, we'll shout at him and we'll tell him he's rude."
You said you were going to karate chop him in the windpipe.
No, that is libelous. That is a lie. I wouldn't do that to Will. I'm a big fan of his work.
Yeah, Ian, you're forgetting that I did email and say I can be there at 9:55, but I'm doing something. Is it okay? And he went, "Yeah, of course." He said, "You can come in whenever you want,
Okay.
mate." And now I'm getting grief. Are we on air? I'm getting grief on air.
What happened, but it was the tone of the email that I found disrespectful to you. Tell you what, you got a coat on. Take a coat off. Would you like a drink, Will?
Oh, is this me getting the drink?
Is it a
I'll
trick?
go get it if you want. I don't mind going and get him a drink.
I'd have some water, thank
Bit
you.
tense. You might want to come back another night, Will.
You can have a hot one if you like.
No, thank you.
A little bit tense tonight, Will. Maybe you won't be selling any copies of your book tonight.
Oh, well.
Let's take a break while Will
No
Storr
change
gets
there.
himself comfortable. 03444991000. This is Talk Radio.
Jacked up jive talk for janitors, jazz cats, and gin-soaked boys and girls.
Exactamundo.
If you're awake, you're welcome.
I've got 5 cactus needles stuck in my...
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We're on the radio now, so you say, no, if you carry on talking if you want, but if you're about to reveal
No, I'm not.
intimate secrets...
No. So Ian and I were just talking about my wonderful wife, who is a magazine editor.
Yeah.
And because she's a few years younger than me, and we've both been working our way up through the media, I've always been a few steps ahead of her. But that kind of switched around maybe 5 or 6 years ago when she got her first editorship. And I really quickly noticed the difference that makes, because we were invited to drinks with some people in media who hadn't seen for quite a while. And we turned up, and I was completely ignored.
Wow, okay, yeah.
For the first time. All the attention was on this amazing magazine editor. And I actually found it quite funny. It was a really interesting experience.
Right, okay, so I would find it funny. I would find it interesting. But I've been thinking a lot about ego recently. And ego is something you can't really control. How did your ego react to it? Was there a bit of the feeling? Here's the thing, my ex-wife, she used to hate it, and she's a reporter, she's a really, really good reporter, but people would come up to me, and they would come up to us, and they would talk to me, because I'd been on I was a familiar face on the telly or radio, and would just completely ignore her, or go, could you just take a picture of us, please? You know, hand her phone and stuff. And that's what she, to a certain extent, was perceived as. I know that she hated it, understandably so. You know, she found it really. She would quite often just go off and walk away and let us get on with it. How did you find that kind of shift in focus?
Well, I mean, not too bad. So. The reason why it wasn't too bad is because I see us as playing slightly different games.
Yep.
She's an editor, I'm a writer, and these are related but different things. Yeah. And we had a situation last year where Farah wrote a brilliant book called The Discomfort Zone, and suddenly she was playing my game.
Right.
And I did wonder, if Farah's book becomes a massive bestseller, how will I cope with that?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. You know, I'd love to say, I was just supportive and proud of my wonderful wife. No, and it's not a gender thing. It's just purely an ego thing.
Yeah,
it's like I genuinely think I would have found it difficult. And at one point, she said to me, if my book really does well, you're not going to be jealous, are you? And I said to her, and I thought for a moment, and I said to her, I can't promise you that.
No, because that's something beyond your rational, loving, logistical control.
Yeah, and it was a slightly awkward moment that I felt bad about. But at the same time,
it was a huge flop. So you're going on Amazon, leaving 1-star reviews under different logins.
It really was. No, it's done really well. So, but yeah. So that was the learning for me. So I don't want to sort of make out that I'm this sort of big man. Oh yes, I'm fine with her soaring celebrity. But I don't see us as competing, and I think that's the difference.
It's like A Star Is Born, but in the literary world. That wasn't a cough to indicate anything. I actually literally had to clear my throat then. That was a genuine, I'm clearing my throat. But it was like A Star Is Born, one of our favourite films, Katherine.
I hated that film.
Yes, I did too. Yes.
It's so boring.
Well, what else was everyone seeing? Because they loved it, didn't they?
Well, and I thought there was this moment in the car park where she was singing this song that was supposed to be, oh my God, she's a genius. And she's just shouting.
But that's what I do with my kids when I go, I think I've got a song, guys. Here we go, I love you so much, my baby.
But it was like the worst Simon Cowell audition.
But isn't it funny, after one listen, he managed to arrange and write the rest of the song ready for it to be performed.
Yeah.
To her surprise.
Yeah. I have come to the conclusion, and I think I heard Limmy, I don't know how aware you are of Limmy.
I love Limmy.
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
And I think I heard him express it first, and I've been thinking about it a lot. I've come to the conclusion that I don't like stuff that everyone else likes. Not in any way just to be difficult or obtuse. It's just, I just don't like it. Star Is Born was getting 4 and 5-star reviews, and I thought it was awful. The Ricky Gervais programme, Afterlife, which everyone has raved about, you like it a little bit better than me.
I thought it was all right.
I just watched it. I watched the first 15 minutes and went, this isn't speaking to me. There's so much stuff that everyone else is liking, and I'm going, I don't get it. I don't understand what it is. So maybe I'm just genetically predisposed to not like stuff. Maybe I'm just a miserable old git.
A contrarian.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you with it. I mean, I sort of departed from Ricky Gervais actually quite early during Extras. It was Extras.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of The Office. As of course. Are you a fan of The Office?
I love The Office.
So it's not everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I saw For Work. I had to see his film. It wasn't The Office. It was the David Brent film.
Oh my God! I went to the premiere of that.
Did you?
Oh yeah. It's the law of diminishing returns with him. It's all going down there.
Yeah, and I you wonder who was the talent behind. You might know, Iain. Who was the talent behind The Office?
It would appear that since he split up with Stephen Merchant, Stephen Merchant seems to be going. I didn't see the film that Merchant did with The Rock, but that got quite good reviews. The recent film he did. It would seem that Merchant is, But hey, Gervais is getting paid $11 billion a year from Netflix.
Reminding us.
He does. You've got a book.
Yes.
Did you bring it?
No, but you've got one there.
I've got it. The Science of Storytelling, Will Storr. And bless you, I was away last week with my boys in the country. We rented a cabin. I make it sound more rustic than it was. It was a luxurious cabin with a hot tub on some kind of cabin resort. And we were just having the best time. My 7-year-old has got this line now, which he came up with. They got in the hot tub every single day and every single night, and I found some plastic champagne flutes in there, and I poured orange juice in, and then I got in the hot tub, and my 7-year-old turned around to me and went, "More champagne, beautiful." And that line has stuck now. That's now his catchphrase every time he sees me, because he goes, "More champagne, beautiful." And he's totally made it up himself. But last week I got your lovely email saying, "I've got a new book out." In that very British way, when you get Americans emailing, "I got a new book out, where should I send it to you, when can I come on?" Which I kind of respect him. But a lovely email saying, I've got a new book, I don't know if you'd be interested in having a look. I went, "Dude, I love you. Of course I would love to read it. And when do you want to come on?"
I was very flattered. Thank you.
We're big fans of yours, Will. But I haven't read it.
No, of course, you've only just got it like 2 days ago, so, yeah.
So the Science of Storytelling, and, well, you tell us what it is.
Well, I'm trying to kind of tackle the kind of ancient problem of how to tell a story, but from a scientific kind of perspective. So by using kind of the latest things that we know from psychology and neuroscience and evolutionary psychology, how our minds have evolved, to kind of show in a hopefully relatively new way how stories work.
And I have read a little bit of it. This, because people will recognise you. You've been on the show before. You did Will Storr versus the Supernatural, which is just a great read. And I don't want to take money out of your pocket. You can probably get it for a penny on Amazon.
At the most.
Yeah,
you can probably get 3 for 1
Yeah, honestly, it's such a good book. There's Heretics. We had you in. The last one was Selfie. Was that the last one?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm missing one, aren't I?
Oh, there was the novel.
Okay, right.
Everyone misses the novel.
Okay. But you, in the introduction to the Science of Storytelling, the new one, you talk about how when you were writing the novel, you were reading loads of how to write a book.
Yeah, so I was researching the Heretics, and the Heretics, as you know, is about the psychology of belief. And the question that the Heretics asks is, why do clever people end up believing crazy things?
Yeah.
So it's not like, why do idiots, because that's obvious. It's like, how does David Irving, who was once this very well-respected historian, not a stupid man, come to believe that Hitler was a friend of the Jews? Like, insane idea.
Oh, the Heretic. That's when you went on. This is such a great book as well. It was Heretics, wasn't it? Where you went on was it on an Irving?
I went undercover
around Auschwitz or something.
It was a holiday for 7 days. Yeah, around Holocaust sites with Irving and a bunch of. He's quite litigious. Yeah, but no, they were. Well stopped. Well said.
I remember this one because he's explaining the gas chambers to you that they're not gas chambers. Obviously, they could get out. So what?
Yeah, he was sort of joking there. He was pointing out, there's the box office. It was a joke. But there were genuine.
Open with that one, David. But yeah, we get.
there were genuine Nazis there. There was the guy who had a tattoo of some sort of Panzer division on his body somewhere.
Wow.
So there were genuine Holocaust deniers there with him. I'm not saying that he is one.
No, of course.
But he certainly was one at one point. I think we can say that. But there were lots of Holocaust deniers there, and I was trying to blend in with him for a week. So that was part of the Heretics. To understand how is it that these people, and David Irving himself, come to believe these insane things. And one of the really interesting things that I found was that a lot of these people on that trip had parents that were literally Nazis in the Second World War.
Wow.
So their mums or dads, probably dads, were Nazis, were actual Nazis. And so on the last night of this trip with David Irving, there was this a celebratory viewing of Downfall, the film. No, it wasn't really celebratory, but it was like, it was like a gala.
They're all crying at the end.
A gala viewing of Downfall, which of course is the fantastic German film about the last days in the bunker.
Yeah.
And one of the guys on the trip excused himself because his father was there and he found it too upsetting.
Oh God, they actually were crying.
Yeah. But seriously, so the thing I thought was really interesting was that these were, and the kind of knotty thing, the thing about storytelling that kind of fascinates me is it's very simplistic. The brain is a storyteller, and stories in novels, films, cartoons, fairy tales mimic what the brain does to us all the time.
Yeah.
The mind, the self, is a story, and it's a simplistic story. And the simplistic story about these people, they were just all horrible Nazis, awful. And of course, they weren't all wonderful, but some of these guys were really, really nice to me.
Yeah, of course.
So at the beginning of the trip, I kind of. I was going to say shot my load. I don't want to use that phrase, but I was interviewing David Irving.
This is escalated, isn't it?
And it became obvious that I wasn't necessarily on his side, and he kind of stomped off. And I was panicking because I spent all this money on this trip, and I needed to get more out of him. And he promised he would sit down with me later, but he kept putting it off. And I was confiding in the Nazis, saying, I'm really worried because David Irving promised me time. He's not giving it to me. And then at the end of every day, we'd have this meeting and there would be like a lecture. And there'd be lots of questions afterwards. And it turned out that all the Nazis had conspired behind my back to ask questions of David Irving that they thought would be useful to my book project.
Isn't
and
that
it was like
nice?
such a nice thing. It was really nice thing.
That's the thing, is we think of Nazis as evil, and it's an evil ideology. But of course, they feed their pets and they love their mums. Of course there is niceness around that denying the Holocaust and hating Jews. I'm not making light of it, but there is that niceness around
But my kind of, with kind of the idea that came out of that was that not all of them, of course, but a lot of them, it seemed to me, were on this lifelong mission to defend the reputation of their parents who they loved.
Right.
So the thing that comes first is, I love my dad, I love my mum, but the rest of the world is telling me Nazis are synonym for evil. So it can't be true. So you go on this lifelong mission looking for evidence everywhere that it's not true. And of course that's how you become a Holocaust denier, because you find all this, in inverted commas, evidence that it's a whatever.
When I was away last week, my light reading was a book written by Mae West, one of the daughters of Fred and Rose West.
Oh,
really good book. Came out last year. It's called With Love from Mum. And I get confused with the family tree. I think she was possibly the fourth child, because Fred had a couple of daughters before. There was Charmaine, and there was Anne-Marie, and then there was Heather, who was the one they murdered, and I think May came fourth. And it's not really about Fred West, it's about her relationship with Rose West, and for the daughter's relationship with Rose West. And for a lot of it, for most of the book, even when Rose West is in prison and has been found guilty, May still can't believe that her mum, even though her mum used to beat her, even though her mum knew that their dad sexually abused them and would kind of laugh it off, even though the mum would lock them in did terrible things. She still can't quite believe, despite all she does towards the end, spoiler alert, but for most, she still can't quite believe that her mum was capable of murdering her sister, was involved in the murders of the nine other women, was involved. She can't buy into that, because that's her mum. And she goes, I can believe it. My dad, he was weird, and he abused us, but I cannot get my head around. And part of it was that when Fred was arrested, such a good book. When Fred was arrested, one of the daughters and the son and Rose were put in a safe house where they were being bugged, but they were locked in this safe house for a long time. And Rose West was kind of brainwashing them, just going, I can't believe your effing dad has got me in this effing trouble again. I can't believe he's done this. I didn't know when. And so she was just getting constantly on a loop. And she still struggles to accept her mum did all of those.
I just find that fascinating, because that's exactly what I was seeing in these people on this Holocaust thing. They were essentially decent people who have made a mistake. And the mistake is rooted in their love for their parents, just like this daughter of Rose West, who... and this is really what the science of storytelling is about. It's about these characters that we meet in story who are absolutely convinced of a thing, and the story is there to kind of shake them out of that kind of misbelief. And as you know from the stuff in the Heretics, when we talk about how the story manifests in the brain, sort of slightly hard to explain, but the reality is that we experience is a story. It's we see evidence everywhere that backs up our biases and misbeliefs and prejudices. So it's so hard to think your way out of the story that your brain's telling you. It really is possible that your most deeply held beliefs about the world are completely wrong, but it doesn't feel like they're wrong because they form the structure of the reality as you experience it in your head.
Is it Heretics or Selfie? I get the two slightly confused. Where the everything we see happened like a second ago, 2 seconds ago.
Heretics, wasn't it?
Heretics.
Yeah.
So the brain is constantly filling in the blanks and making up a narrative.
So what you see is very narrow, and the rest is made up.
From experience. They call it a controlled hallucination. So we feel like we're looking out of our heads. into the world, but we're not. If you think about it,
I always get uncomfortable when you talk about this because my eye, I don't know where to look. Go on.
Information only comes in, and that's one way.
Yeah.
So it comes into your brain, and that's where it stays. So you're not looking out at anything. Everything that you experience is out there is actually in there. Yeah. So and it takes some time for all that information to travel from your senses into the brain, and the brain to convert that into this controlled hallucination of reality. And so in order to help us interact with the now, it has to throw us forward. I mean, there are kind of variations in the predictions of how much that forward is. But if you're throwing a ball, if someone throws a ball at you, your brain moves it fractionally forward so you can catch it. Otherwise, you'd miss it. And
so that's kind of an example of I don't want I keep going on about the Heretics. It is a great book, by the way, dear listener. I thoroughly recommend it. But the brain is a storytelling machine.
Yeah.
It's constantly telling stories. Yeah. And you say in the bit of the book I have read, it's not actually the scenario or so much what happens. It's the characters that interest us. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you read most books on storytelling, they tell you how to tell a story in the form of a structure.
Yeah.
So what people have done before is they've taken all the great stories and they've compared them together, and they've kind of run their divining rods over them and seen what they've got in common, and then they've gone, okay, well, this is the perfect story. Like the Joseph Campbell monomyth is the most famous one, and they go, this is a story. And so the only way to describe the perfect story is by describing a kind of sequence of events. So you've got this kind of recipe solution for storytelling, which is kind of what we're surrounded by in Hollywood, in long-form TV, in lots of commercial fiction. It's this kind of recipe for storytelling. But if you start with the mind and the brain, you start off somewhere else, and that's with a character, because of course mind and brain is about personality and who we are. And for me, that's a much more interesting kind of idea about storytelling. And so what emerges from that is that, yes, all this stuff tends to happen in story, and some often in a certain sequence, but the most simple form of that is crisis, struggle, resolution, the classic kind of 3 acts. But what's really going on under the hood, as it were, is that at the beginning it's really about character. It's about who we are. So humans are a weird kind of ape. Like, we're not like an ape. We actually are an ape. Yeah. And we're weird because we're hypersocial. And so there's a very famous psychologist called Jonathan Haidt, who's also an author, and he says that we're so social. We're part B. So we really are unbelievably collaborative and social, and that's how we've dominated the earth, is by working together in groups, and that's why we're so kind of groupish.
Well, that's why I voted Brexit. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. And that's our environment. So in order to so dogs live in a world of smell.
Yeah.
Knife fish live in a world of electricity. Moles live in a world of touch. But humans live in a world of other minds. We're constantly worrying, thinking, talking about other minds, because that's how we have to. That's the realm we have to understand in order to get what we want out of life, which is to survive and reproduce. And so that's what story is. So just like a dog. I walk my dogs every day. They spend all their time sniffing stuff, and I'm like, why are you sniffing all that? It's so boring. But it's not boring to them because they live in a world of smells. The smell is infinitely interesting to them. And story is infinitely interesting to us because it's about minds, it's about other people. So what story is always asking of its characters is, who is this person? Yeah. Who is this person really? You know, I see you've got the Frank Sidebottom T-shirt on, and I saw the documentary last week.
Isn't it brilliant?
Absolutely brilliant.
It's so good.
And I'm not a fan of Frank Sidebottom. No. I know you are, no offence, but I thought it was an amazing film because he was a fascinating character. Yes. Who is this person? Yeah. And the film worked because it was a brilliant, deep exploration of this really fascinating man. And it's fascinating. And so that's what stories are. They are... You take these kind of flawed characters who do weird things, and the plot puts them under a lot of pressure. And the job of the plot really is to put huge pressure on, to force them to kind of show who they really are. So if you think about some of your kind of famous scenes in fiction or movies, some of the most dramatic scenes we have are when people are feeling under immense pressure and they're forced to choose, am I going to be this person or am I going to be this person? And that to me is the kind of essence of drama.
Well, a lot of the hero stories, the Star Wars, it's where someone is, you know, their intent is pure, but they're not very skillful or haven't quite got that killing thing, and they go off and they are tried and tested and put through all kinds of ridiculous tortures and things, and then they come out, you know, from the boy to the man.
But that's the classic story, isn't it? You can look back to the Greek myths for things like that. And what it says to man is, you are better than you realise, and actually you are amazing, and then there is hope in life.
But you have to go through hardship to reach your full potential. You can train and you can think about it, but you've actually got to suffer to a certain extent to come out the other side. You mentioned as well about the So much money is made in stories, books and movies primarily, and video games as well, actually, you mentioned. But so much of them, so many movies now are these really crap... They're done by corporation. It's, you know, and having worked in TV a while ago, it's very rarely is it one person's vision of, I've got this idea and this is what I want to do. There are a few examples, and those are normally the best things. We talk about The Office. The Office was two people's vision, and... I know that Steve and Ricky, they managed to bat off every bit of input that the BBC made, and they said, we're going to do this, but only if you let us do it our way. Yeah. And so there's hardly any input from the producers. But
there's great characters in The Office.
Yes.
Really good, genuine, three-dimensional characters, which you don't find, as far as I'm concerned, in some of Ricky Gervais's later work.
You suspect that other people have kind of got involved, and this is it. So many movies, so many of the big movies, you know that it's been through a writer, then it's been through a director, then it's been through 5 producers, then it's been through the commissioning editor, then it's been through a head of a studio. It's just filtered away, and it's almost like an adventure by numbers. You know, you follow these. You got to hit these specific points. You know.
Yeah, that's how it works, and yeah, absolutely right. And there's a good reason for that. I was just sort of talking. The thing I was at tonight was actually a storytelling course by other people. John York, the brilliant author of Into the Woods, you know, so kind of the kind of godfather of all this stuff, and Tim Lott, the novelist, and Tim Lott was making the point earlier this evening that film costs a huge amount of money to make, so there's investors want to know, they want some kind of science involved or some kind of so we're hitting all the story beats, and I think that's why it becomes so formulaic and because there's a lot of money at stake, and it doesn't cost much money to publish a book. So there's less risk involved. So
let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We're talking to Will Storr. The book is The Science of Storytelling. I shall do links and what have you on Twitter in a minute. 0344 499 1000. This is Talk Radio.
Tales of mystery and imagination on the radio show that does things differently.
Dolly Parton, I listen to a record all day long.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
I'm a nut job, but not that kind of nut job.
On Talk Radio.
Honest to God, it's the new Breaking Bad.
Oh no!
We've got Will Storr, who's got a new book, The Science of Storytelling. I did a tweet earlier on, and I wasn't thinking, I called it The Art of Storytelling, and someone kind of pulled me up before you saw it. You didn't even know about it, and now I've told you. Balls.
Idiot.
Absolute idiot. Why did you write this? Because this your usual stuff is going out with people on the fringes of society, whether it be ghost hunters or whoever, and finding out what makes them tick or how they fit in. So why have you written... It's kind of an instruction manual for telling stories.
Yeah, well, because it became a bit of an obsession after the Heretics. This idea of the brain as a storyteller, it changed the way I saw myself. It changed the way I saw everybody else in my life. It changed the way I wrote, and then I carried on the exploration in Selfie, talking about how we're a cultural self too. And then I started teaching courses, teaching other writers how to storytelling. So I wanted to kind of close that chapter in my career and go, this is what I've learned about the brain as a storyteller before I moved on. I mean, and initially, because I wrote that novel, and the novel was kind of trying to work out how does storytelling work? And I think I was partially successful, but I wanted to write the storytelling book that I wish I'd had when I was writing my novel.
You mentioned at the start that you read a few when you were writing the novel. Were they any good? I've never read one. Are they any good?
They are. There's lots of useful ones. I'd especially recommend John York's Into the Woods, Christopher Booker's The 7 Basic Plots, if for anybody's interested.
Because I've always imagined that writers just go, I've got a book. I'm in me and I'm going to write, and they just sit down and they write it and they pour it out, and it's a little edited a little bit.
That's what they say. I don't think it's true that often.
Really?
I think they secretly have all the books. So what interested me in the idea was that I was struggling with my novel, reading all these books, whilst working on Heretics and interviewing some of the world's best neuroscientists and psychologists, and what they were saying about how the brain processes our sense of self were the same things as what the storytelling people were saying about how you tell stories. And I was like, oh my God, they're saying the same thing. So I thought it might be interesting to put them together, which is kind of what I did in The Heretics, but this is the kind of...
I've just opened it. Compressed time. Story time is compressed time. And it is, isn't it? Because, I mean, a film... Well, films are not 90 minutes anymore. I don't know when they started becoming 2.5 hours long. That's ridiculous. Tell a story in 90 minutes, please. But it is, isn't it? It's a book, a good book, you can read it in a couple of days if you sit down. But it can cover... 100 years.
That's right. Gandhi's 3 hours, but you still feel like you've seen all of his life.
Yeah.
Like it feels real, and that's part of what the brain's doing when it's kind of producing this story of us. It's radically simplifying reality. That's part of the job. Like, we're surrounded by chaos and chaotic information and contrary information, and it turns the narrative of our lives into this very simplistic kind of cause and effect journey. It populates it with heroes and villains. It gives us a kind of a quest to go on. And if we're psychologically healthy, that's what's going on. We are kind of experiencing our lives as this David and Goliath journey, which is very, very fictional. And sort of what the book sort of goes into is, I think, some of the problems that this leads us to in real life. So when we come across people who don't see the world as we do, rather than going, oh, that's interesting, that's odd how they have these different beliefs to us, they become villains. And we start to hate them and disparage them and other them and call them evil and nasty. And we see so much of that at the moment. And it's just people's storytelling brains working overtime.
Well, I mean, the obvious example of that, of course, is we don't say his name too often on the show, but people like Tommy Robinson and the hatred directed towards Muslims because they look different, but also their God is a different colour, and so you're saying that's kind of part of the normal mental process, is if people are significantly different, or we can perceive them. It's what happens every time in economic hardship. Is it's not your fault because you're a white middle-class guy. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's their fault because they look a little bit different to us. To
a certain kind of person.
Yes.
Because underneath all of this, we're tribal animals. We're the main tribal animals. So one of the things that binds us together in our tribes is that we share a story of the world, a simplistic narrative of the world. And like a story in a movie, like a story in a book, a story is this kind of sequence of causes and effects. So we look out into the world at the stuff that's happening, and we construct this simplistic narrative of cause and effect. So in terms of hardship, a certain kind of person, a really right-wing person in that kind of tribe, will look out into the world and see whether it's Muslims or whether it's Mexicans in kind of Trump's America, and see, well, this is the cause and effect. This is the cause that's having this negative effect on my people. But of course, that's not everyone. People on the left will go, well, they'll have a different narrative of cause and effect.
There's a brilliant paragraph. I've literally read the first 2 chapters. I'm sorry. But the beginning, we beetle away happily into our minutes, hours and days with the fact of the void, the fact we're all going to die, hovering over us. To look directly into it and respond with an entirely rational descent into despair is to be diagnosed with a mental health condition. You're right, we're all going to die. And you could die on the way home tonight. Hopefully, you've got another 35, 40 years. But you're going to die. And you're going to die, Katherine. I'm going to die. But we all kind of just carry on,
but that's
almost
part of
ignoring that.
That's
fact.
part of the reason that the brain tells this heroic story, this optimistic story of the world, because it gets us out of bed in the morning. So, but there's an idea in psychology, they call it depressive realism. Also, when they test depressed people's instincts about life and about their own kind of chances for success in the world and kind of the nature of reality, they find that depressed people are more in touch with reality than happy people. So to a certain extent, happiness itself is a delusion. There's one of these studies, I think I write about it in the Science of Storytelling, where they got people who work in a restaurant to write out all the kind of positive things that might happen for them, and also the positive things that might happen for the people that they work with that they liked, and there were far more things for them than the people around them. We know we're all, if we're not suffering from clinical depression or something like that, you know, we're all kind of being deluded by this optimistic story that says that we are this amazing David on this journey to make our our lives and the world around us is going to become better and better and better. And sadly, it's not true.
But if planning your next holiday makes you feel like a superstar, you go for it.
But the great thing about the storytelling brain is that even when we're hit with failure, we feel terrible for a while, but we pick ourselves up, don't we?
It's going to lead to better things.
The next time.
Well, this is my new thing that I've really grasped onto, is that everything we're doing now, your book, this radio show, everything, we are literally just filling time until we die. This show until 1 o'clock is to hopefully make you feel a little bit better as you edge ever closer towards your inevitable death. That's going to happen. How do you teach like a writing class? When you mentioned it, I have an image of like loads of adults sat at desks and you kind of walking up and down, looking over their shoulders, going, yeah, very good. Well, I would change that. How do you do? I'm sure it's not like that.
It's a bit like that.
Is it?
No. So I when I first started doing the course, it was basically me talking for like 4.5 hours, and by the end of it, everybody wanted to kill themselves. Like that happy delusional thing had just exploded, and they just. So I had to sort of work out a new thing. So it's kind of broken down into 10 little mini talks,
right?
And they're broken up with like video clips. We look at things like everything from Citizen Kane to Walter White, Breaking Bad.
So when the teacher wheels in the VHS
exactly. Everyone loves it. Everyone's like, oh god, thank God. You know. So yeah, I do like a week-long course, and for that,
I've who comes to those? Is it novelists? Is it journalists, or is it everybody?
It's a lot of novelists. It's some screenwriters,
right?
And it's often people who are kind of middle-aged who've just decided, the time has come. I'm going to follow my dreams and write a novel, and I want to know how it works. But it's people at all levels in the kind of spectrum. I had a great message from the brilliant Charlie Higson the other day, who's no storytelling slouch, who was very happy with the book and said it was one of the few useful ones he'd read. So that was really great. So it's. I think what I'm sort of really happy about is that I feel like it's offering something genuinely new by this scientific approach and psychological approach.
I'm just reminded, we had a caller from the States.
Yeah.
Can't remember where he's from. A guy who... You talk about people in middle age, going, I'm going to write the book. And years ago, it used to be called Vanity Publishing, didn't it? Where you would go and get 1,000 copies of your book printed. And now... It's incredible because you go to a website like Unbound, or there's loads of others, and that will print on demand. You know, so you write a book, and if you sell 10 copies, they'll print 10 copies, and it's actually kind of lovely, and they look like, in inverted commas, real books. But we had a guy from America. Mm-hmm. Was it him or his wife that phoned up first? I can't remember.
I think his wife spoke first, and then she passed the phone to him.
Who'd written a book, and he really wanted to publicise it, so he was just looking online for like radio stations, and he saw Talk Radio UK. Yeah. It's like, wow, okay. So I think he emailed us or something, and it popped up on the screen saying, I've written a book, would love to... So we just phoned him up straight away. This guy... And it was, I paid... I
can't remember what it was about.
I've got it on my computer somewhere. I paid the $8 for the download. It's not a great book, but...
But he made something.
And then his wife phoned up again, didn't she, about a month ago, saying he's nearly finished his second novel. I don't suppose you'd be interested. Get him on. He's from Texas or something. He's got a very broad Texan accent, selling his book. Good for him.
Yeah, good. Well, he's David fighting the Goliath.
Yes.
I'm going to be a novelist, and I'm going to get all these knockbacks, but it's going to happen. Yeah. And that's human ingenuity. That's human progress. That's what's built the civilised world. So you can't knock it.
Oh, well,
you can knock it.
You can. Because I blame 50 Shades of Grey. Because wasn't that a self-published book first?
Well, I actually write about that in Science of Storytelling. So I thought it was really interesting. So there was a data analyst and a publisher that got together a couple of years ago, and they built this algorithm that I don't know how it works. You basically feed a book into the computer. I'm imagining somebody shoveling pages into a slot, but I don't think that's how it works. And it can predict a New York Times bestseller with an accuracy of 83%, I think it is. So it's a pretty good thing. I don't know what thing. And they analysed 50 Shades of Grey because it's the big mystery in publishing. How the hell did this book end up becoming successful? And it had this really weird plot shape. They plotted it on a graph, and it's just these regular ups and downs, which you don't often see in story.
Well, that's the bedroom scene, isn't it? The ups and downs,
They weren't regular.
But then they also did the same thing with that. What was that other book that came out of nowhere and sold millions? It had Tom Hanks in the film, The Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code,
and it had almost exactly the same plot shape. So there's something. There's some weird alchemy that both Dan Brown and
E.L.
James had both, perhaps by chance, hit upon. Where so I talk about that in the book.
Was it 50 Shades of Grey? Wasn't it a Twilight fan fiction?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. She thought, I'm not done here. Let me write it for myself. And so she's happened upon this thing that's turned out to be a massive money spinner and a range of terrible films.
yes. And presumably it's outsold. Is it outsold Twilight? I don't know.
Have you? I don't want to show off, Will, but have you ever had any erotic fan fiction written about you?
Oh, are you joking? Of course I haven't.
Well, if you're lucky, I might toss it off.
I see.
He
has got some.
I've got quite a bit. I've got quite a bit of erotic fan fiction.
Can we have some? Can we read it out? It's late.
Catherine, do you want to find?
I had a look last week, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because you think it's.
I think it's hilarious.
You think it's
Can't
funny.
say it out loud.
Well,
though.
one of them, right? So there's a few, but mainly since the jungle, and there was a few, and then one young lady messaged me on Twitter and said, "Oh, thanks for reading out my fiction." I went, "Oh, okay, we thought it was a lot of fun. Thanks so much." And then I clicked on her bio. 15 years old. So that was the end of that. Yeah, I know. Wow. Wowzers. So have you got it?
Yeah.
Listen, now, Will, this is proper.
I can't read this out. You've got to read it.
I'm excited.
Where are we? Hey. No, hang on.
Yeah, no, this
is this me?
No.
Oh no, so this is Grace. Hey, I smile, skipping down the little slope beside the red throne where Stanley Johnson is sat. What are we all chatting about then? So this is in the jungle.
Oh right, yeah.
Looking at my side, I sit down on the log with Iain on my immediate left, Amir on Ian's left, and Jenny to my right. Just about how Iain is a great guy, Amir starts off. Amir must be around 30, but Iain a little younger. Thank you. Dark brown hair coating over a face with lit-up eyes. Ooh, charismatic, charming and good-looking. Good-looking.
That's later.
You're jumping forwards, yeah.
Ian's a hit with the ladies in camp for sure. Especially after eating those strawberries, Amir says. I let out a breath, feeling my stomach drop, as the arise of this incident again is going to inevitably result in drama. The whole camp Let me get to the rude bit.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. It's quite boring.
Not really rude, this one. It's kind of the promise of a kiss and a date. I mean, she's 15, so just as well.
Well, no,
just as well.
Then stop trying to entrap me. For crying out loud.
Yeah, let's
Here
get
it goes.
One.
Cheers! I thank lifting my head up and grabbing Ian's, letting him pull me up from the floor.
Can I just say, this is great the way Will's come in to promote the book. We've made it all about me. This is wonderful. This is what it should be. This is show business. Right, listen. The book is The Science of Storytelling by Will Storr. I will, and you're at W Storr on Twitter. STORR. Yeah. I'll tweet a link during the news if people want to go and check this out. Have you got ideas percolating for the next thing?
Yes.
Have you left those kind of investigative books behind?
No. I'm going to go back there.
Okay.
So yeah, for the next book. So my next book is going to be about status. It's all about status.
Okay.
And about how important status is to our sense of well-being.
Yeah.
So I don't know quite what I'm going to do yet, but one of the things I really want to do is to go and find a community where they believe they're living without any hierarchy and status, and see what that's like. Because my idea is I bet they're not. I bet there are leaders.
So you think that that somehow it will always appear that someone has to take control.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's
you never get anything done, will you?
Yeah.
I'm sure the first one that springs to mind is the Amish, but I'm guessing they must have leaders.
Of course they have.
Of course they do. They might pretend that. It's like, because to me the biggest experiment in that was communism, and that's
right.
George Orwell.
Yeah.
You know, it was a crazy idea that there's no status.
You want to find a load of off-grid hippies.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what.
Well, they'll be off-grid though. You won't be able to find them. You can't just go.
Can't email. Can't tweet them.
So how do you do it? Do you? You're out walking. I get my best ideas when I'm out walking. I don't have a dog anymore, but when I go back home with the boys and I go out for a walk with the dog, that's kind of when Kath will be bombarded with texts going, right, I've got this idea and this idea. Is that how you do it, or do you sit at a computer?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, so I walk my dogs twice a day.
Right.
And I have my phone and Google Keep. And
what's Google Keep?
It's a great app, and it's just notes, and it syncs with everything.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
automatically, and you can talk to it. So I'm walking the dogs, talking to my phone, going,
"This is future man we've got in here. It's incredible."
Yeah, it's free. And so everyone obviously who lives near me thinks I'm this lunatic who goes around just talking out loud about
they don't realise you're working.
The history of mankind. It's ridiculous.
So status is the next thing, but very, very early stages.
Yeah, I haven't even started
done
yet.
Anything.
Yeah, it's going to be out in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll see you then.
You could be dead by then, Will.
Yeah, I could
We've
be
established this.
Yeah.
I love that confidence I'll be out. But I've been working on a book for 6 years. 6 years.
You have?
For 6 years, though.
What book is it?
It's a book. I think I mentioned it to you before, and obviously it didn't have much of an impact. Each chapter is a different TV show that I've worked on, going into intricate detail of what an arsehole I was in some cases, what other what an arsehole.
I would read that in a second.
I know, but it turns out writing a book, Will, is really, really hard.
You need a ghostwriter, mate.
How much do you charge these days? Anyway,
we'll talk about it off the air.
That laugh means he's expensive. All right. Well, it's always lovely to see you. Anytime you want to come in, traditionally guests come in at the top of the hour, but that's fine. The Science of storytelling. I can't look at him, Catherine. Is he angry? Will Storr, STORR. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to tweet a link to it. Amazon, is there a better place for you? Is there a place you get more money?
Do you know who support me?
Yeah.
Foils.
They're
very supportive of me.
We'll find the link for Foils then. Yeah. We'll do that. We'll send it out.
And they can send it out. They can post the book to you as well.
Brilliant. I always prefer doing that if we can avoid it. The show continues. 0344 499 1000. This is Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Four 499 1000. Empty switchboard, dear listener. Empty switchboard. We're going to start thanking the bus driver, guys. We're going to start thanking them. Musical segue coming up. Here it comes. You ready? Here it goes. There we go. It was actually quite smooth. Yeah. 0344 499 1000. Thank you to Will. I've just tweeted a link to buy his book at Foils, his bookshop of choice, dear listener. Late Night Alternative, weeknights from 10 with Iain Lee and Catherine Boyle. You can phone in. Miss Cilla Black! Sorry, she can't phone in. Well, maybe she could if David Babcock is listening. You can phone in, dear listener, about absolutely anything you want. Big, small, macro or micro. They mean the same things. Don't wait for us to put out a question or a topic. You are welcome to pick up the telephone and dial about absolutely anything. 0344 499 1000. Thank you very much indeed. Can I say thank you as well to the black cab driver today, who rightfully called me out for being a dick on the road. Since the car accident I was in, that was just horrendous. And at some point we may go into a little bit more detail of just how horrendous it was. My driving has been impeccable. I'm driving a bigger car than I've ever driven before because I wanted something that was built like a tank. I don't think a Nissan Qashqai is actually built like a tank, but to me it certainly feels more protective of its cargo than my crappy old Volkswagen Polo. Volkswagen. That's how I'm saying it today.
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen. That's how I'm saying it. But my driving since then has been impeccable. And you've been in the car, Catherine, when I've told you to shut up while I'm concentrating at a roundabout.
Yeah, that was way before the accident.
And my driving has been impeccable. And I'm trying not to beat my horn. I'm trying not to. This buzz. I mean, it's almost as if they don't give a stuff about this studio anymore. I just, I don't beat my. I try not to beat my horn. I try not to flash my lights in anger. But sometimes I do, and my boys have spotted it, and my boys say, I thought you weren't going to do that anymore, and I thank them for it, because I want to have a stress-free driving experience, okay? I saw a guy die and be brought back to life in front of my very eyes while I held his hand and shouted at him. So I don't want to see that ever again. Please, thanks very much. It was traumatic. So I want a stress-free driving, and generally it's working. Also, flashing lights beeping doesn't rectify the problem. Doesn't make someone a better driver. No. So I'm getting better at it, right? But then today I was driving into London because I was going to a meeting before work, and I'm driving in by is it Kensington, by Harrods, round that way? Knightsbridge. Thank you. I knew it started with a K. So I'm driving in, and there's two lanes. Okay, there's two lanes, and I'm in the right-hand lane. And then there's a guy in the left-hand lane. Now, the left-hand lane would have taken him to the same direction. We were coming to some lights where you could either turn left or right. If you're in the right-hand lane, as I was, you turn right. If you're in the left-hand lane, you can turn left or you can turn right, okay? But he was trying to come into my lane. Now, listen to that. Just turn the computer off. Thank you. So he was trying to come into my lane, but he didn't indicate, right? And we're kind of neck and neck. He's about 6 inches in front of me, but that's it. And he's just trying to come into my lane. The traffic's moving very, very slowly. And, of course, I went into old driving me, and I thought, well, I'm not letting him in. I'm not. As you didn't ask nicely. Yeah, I'm not letting him in. And so he's getting closer to me, and I'm just right up the arse of the car in front of me, and we're just moving, we're just inching along, and this guy's coming over to me, and I'm thinking, you're going to hit my car. And you know what? I don't care. I was in the old... Wow. I was in the old me. And he's getting closer and closer, and then I bibbed him. And he wound down his window. It was the calmest exchange I have involving cars I have ever been involved in. 0344 499 1000. You got a problem, mate? He said to me. I said, and he's a little bit ahead of me, so I've got my passenger window open. You got a problem, mate? He said, sorry, is your indicator broken? He repeated, have you got a problem, mate? I said, I'm so sorry, sir. Is your indicator... I was being overly polite. I'm so sorry, sir. Is your indicator broken? I'm trying to get in that lane. I said, yeah, well, OK, I don't know that, you see, because... Let me explain. On the side of your cars... I was actually doing that. I said, let me explain. On the side of your car, there's like a yellow light, and it's called an indicator. And what it does is it lets other drivers, other people around you know what you're trying to do. So I don't know... I don't know. I'm really sorry. Is it broken? And so we're having this argument in this very... I believe this is passive-aggressive. What's going through your mind at this point? Have you got a slight... Oh, I was laughing inside. I was, right. At this point, is it exciting to you, this kind of behaviour? It was a thrill. Yes, really. It was a thrill. But also... Are you frightened you're going to get punched in the face at any point? Oh, God, no, because I do the trick of picking up my phone and pretending I'm calling the police. So I've got it. I got this down pat, right? But also I'm thinking... This is funny, man. I wish someone was seeing this. Well, then, lo and behold, after 2 minutes, a taxi pulled up in the left-hand lane with his window open, and he looked over at you, and this taxi driver, this black cab driver, was wetting himself laughing. Oi, Iain, you can't go about doing that. Let him in. And that totally, burst the bubble. And so I'm now shouting over this guy's car to the cabbie. He's not put his indicators on. And the cabbie's wetting himself going, yeah, I know, but come on, you can't go about like that. He kept saying, you can't go about like that. And
he was right.
And he was right. He was, do you know what? He was totally, of course he was right. Of course he was right. Anyway, the guy in the middle is still talking to me. At which point, we're just ignoring him now. And I'm going, yeah, I know, right? He's not put his indicators on. Anyway, so the car in the middle stays there. The traffic moves. The cabbie moves on and I move on. God knows what happened to the guy in the middle.
You didn't get let in?
No.
After all that?
Well, no, I was ahead of him now. I couldn't let him in now. And he'd made a rod for his own back because now he was in the middle of two lanes and there was traffic either side. He blew it.
Embarrassing.
That guy blew it. So then I stop at the traffic lights next to this cabbie and I said, look, you're totally right, but he didn't have his indicator on. Come on, give me a little bit of credit. Come on, I was in the right there. He said, no, you can't go about doing that. He said, you'd be rubbish driving one of these. You'd be out rolling about in the street every 5 minutes. And we had a laugh. I cut him up, gave him the finger and drove on. I didn't. But do you know what? He was absolutely spot on. First of all, I'm surprised he recognised me now. I don't have a beard. I don't have a beard, dear listener. You would know that if you paid more attention to you can hear it. Listen. But he was
probably from the photo that's been passed around since we had that altercation with the cab driver at Heathrow.
Oh God, that guy! But he was absolutely right to call me out. I was driving. It wasn't the worst driving I've ever seen or been involved in, but it was not.
It was silly.
It was silly. It was, well, okay, all right, okay.
Petty.
Okay, well, I'm putting my hands up here. Yes, it was petty.
It was willy waving.
Please just stop. It's not willy waving.
You were waving your willies.
I was kind of doing it partly to entertain. I was finding it funny. But the road, dear listener, is no place for a lady. No, who is that? The road is no place for a lady. Is it Cass? Mm-hmm. Cass' album. The road is certainly.
She's a cruel mistress.
No place for. Pettiness. Tom Pettiness. Did Tom Petty ever do an album called Pettiness?
No. He
should have done. It's too late now. He's dead. Tom Petty should have gone to Scotland and recorded a concept album where he looks for a monster and called it Pettiness. That works. I mean, where? You know it works.
Where does it work?
You know it works. Where? That's a winner. I'm taking that one. What time does the bank open? I need to go and bank that. But so thank you to the black cab driver, and it made me laugh. He had a laugh. I don't know what happened to the guy behind me. He was a dick.
He was chastened by the experience.
But it was funny. We were both so polite and so calm. He was a big fella. He could have, But we were both we just went into these roles of, I'm sorry, is your indicator broken? And the guys go, okay, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you be in my shoes for a moment and you think about if you were in this car. I said, yeah, if I were in that car, sir, I would be using the indicator if it wasn't broken.
And still he wasn't using it. In fact, of course, the response was, flick the indicator on.
We are starting a new campaign tonight, dear listener, and we need your help, OK? We want to bring back the age-old tradition. I know we've had some people tweeting... Tweets don't count in the show. It's all about the phone calls. 0344 499 1000. 0344 499 1000. We are bringing back thanking the bus driver as we get off the bus. Thank you, driver. That's all you've got to do. Thanks, driver. That's all you've got to do is you get off the bus just as the doors open and you put 1 foot forward before it touches the ground. Thank you, driver. That's it. Because no one, apart from me, and a few northern people, no one. Well, you're a northern person. No one does it.
I would give extra points for a good day to you, sir.
All right, Jacob Rees-Mogg. But we need
you on the bus.
We need evidence that you've done it. Okay, so I want pictures, photographs of you doing it. I want video footage of you doing it.
Don't film it in portrait.
I want audio footage. Audio. I want a tape recording. I want a tape recording of you thanking the driver. Oh! You've got a laminating machine, haven't you?
No, why would I have a laminating machine?
I thought you had a laminating machine.
No. Got a stapler.
Google how much a laminating machine is. Because we're going to make membership cards. I thought about this when I was on holiday. We are going to make membership cards. We are going to give them away. We're going to laminate them. And we are going to number and sign... what are you showing me?
It's a variety. We can go to the $46.99 or we can go down to an $18.99, but depends how many of these bad boys we're turning out.
There's one there for $14.75, mate. Yeah. You want the cheapest, obviously.
Really?
Well, you just want a cheap laminated.
Buy cheap, buy twice. Or just buy cheap?
Just buy cheap once. Why would you buy it twice? That makes it expensive. No. Buy cheap, buy once. That's my philosophy. Why would you buy it twice? That's craziness. It's terrible maths there. Get us a laminating machine, because you can buy... Do you remember it used to be, if someone had a business card... Oh, they got a business card. And then business cards in the sort of 80s, late 80s, early 90s became a little bit less impressive because where did you get business card printing machines? Train stations. Do you remember that? They would rock up, you'd rock up and there'd be like a big old machine, massive. It was a business card.
So you could print off like Boob Inspector. Things like that. That's what people did, isn't it?
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes.
Well, if you go to Japan... giving the business
there
card...
are boob inspectors.
Giving the business card is not a euphemism.
What would it be a euphemism for?
Inserting your penis somewhere.
God.
I'm going to give you the business card if you don't watch yourself.
I'll put it in my wallet.
Well, there we go, you see. I made the mistake, someone gave me a business card and I sort of glimpsed it and put it in my wallet. And they were really upset for the rest of the day. When someone gives you a business card, you've got to look at it. You've got to turn it over and look at it and go, wow, OK, thanks very much. And you're supposed to give one back.
Also, those guys take stationery very seriously.
Very, very seriously indeed. Yeah, go on, you get that. So you don't get them at train stations anymore. But I'm going to print up 100 late night alternative membership cards. You get that phone call. I'm going to be quite some time here. I'm on a roll. I'm going to print up 100 late night alternative membership cards. People are going to phone in and claim them. By the way, you and I are getting numbers 1 and 2.
I bet I don't get number 1.
No, you get a number 2. And...
Again.
And... I say my ands like Ringo Starr.
You noticed.
And... And we are going to give away this. We're going to number the people are going to phone up and go, right, okay, your number. I think the first 10 we keep for ourselves and family members, right? So your number 11, and we number it, and then we both sign it, and then we laminate it, and then you send it out. Okay?
Yes.
You up for that?
Yes.
Here we go. 034. Well, not tonight. We haven't got them, so don't phone in for the cards tonight. You will not get them. And they'll get you, like, free handshakes at live events. They won't get you money off anything. We're not stupid. But they'll get you handshakes at events and things like that. 03. Katherine?
Wow, OK.
44-499-1000. The late night alternative with Iain Lee and Katherine Boyle. Weeknights from 10 on Talk Radio.
It's electric. It's eclectic. It's always rule-free. It's the late night alternative with that man, Iain Lee. on Talk Radio.
Oh, 03444991000 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Let's go to CJ. Good evening, CJ.
Good evening.
Good evening, CJ. Let's get to the point.
I've had a really weird weekend.
Okay. Well, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, it's still weird.
Well, it seems your weekend included a Monday, which will make it double.
It did include the Monday.
Well, then that's not a weekend. That's the start of the week.
Well, I have got a weekend.
Although in many faiths, the Sunday is the start of the week, which is insane. And that's not me being anti-Semitic. I'm not saying that the Jewish faith is insane.
Well,
shut up! But having a Sunday as the start of the week, which I think is how the Jewish faith sees a Sunday, that's insane. But I'm not saying Jews are insane. That would be crazy. Well, hang on a second. Getting in a terrible minefield here, so let's just back away. CJ, what do you want?
I want that first membership card.
Well, you can't have it.
But I can.
Well, no, you can't because we're not doing it yet. As I specifically said, don't phone up for the membership cards now because we're not doing it. I haven't printed them. We haven't got a laminator. We haven't got any of the equipment.
They're in his minds, are in his ME.
And here's the thing, CJ, because you've defied the rules, you're not getting one at all.
I'm going to wrestle you for it, Iain.
You're not going to wrestle me. You're not getting one. You're not getting a membership card. You're not getting a wrestle. You're not getting any physical contact with me. That's that done. Tell us about your weird weekend, you pervert.
Went to see George Galloway in Manchester.
Okay, did he know you were coming?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great, yeah.
And me and Becky the Witch went to see him. And we were at this bar drinking colas, and Ken Livingstone walked.
What brand of colas were they? Were they Pepsi? Were they
Pepsi.
Panda? Were they Coca? What colas?
Corona.
What colas were they?
Pepsi.
Okay, Pepsi colas.
Pepsi colas.
Hey, oh no, it's Baby Sham, isn't it? Yep.
And then Ken Livingstone walks in to the bar, and it was a strange moment, and got a photo with Ken and...
Right, hang on, if you're telling me that your weird weekend was weird simply because you saw Ken Livingstone at a George Galloway event, I'm going to cut you off. Okay. I mean, that's not that weird. They're friends, aren't they, I'd imagine? Ken and George and Ken. Say something, I'm looking at you.
I don't know about their personal relationship lack thereof.
Let's go to G. Good evening, G.
Evening, boss. I had a business card that was laminated.
Why does this sound disgusting?
Why does it sound like the batteries are running down on the tape player that's recorded your side of the conversation? Come on!
I had a business card that was laminated.
Okay, you're about to get a punch in the face. Yes, go on, and? Is that it?
Borderline.
You're so close to being cut off. So close to being cut off. My finger's hovering over the cut-off button.
Oh,
Hovered.
That went well.
Tell you what we need after that. We need a meditation. Computer on, please. Computer. Hello, computer. My favourite line in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, where they go back to 1986 or whenever it is, and Scotty needs to work a computer, and he's just looking at the computer, and he's going, why doesn't it work? Oh, you need to use the mouse. And he picks up the mouse and looks at it and goes, speaks into it. Hello, computer. It's such a good film, man. Star Trek 4 is where it's at. Anyway, we need... I think we need to chill out after that. Katherine, what are we about to listen to, please?
My youngest doing a bit as a Zen master.
Let's have it.
Hello, fellow humans. Modern life is very hectic, so I thought we should take a little time for a moment of Zen. Today we are going to learn about the invisible kitten. Don't worry if you're allergic to actual kittens, this won't make you itch at all. And best of all, no little tray. Close your eyes and empty your mind. Let all the cares of the day drift out of your ear holes and out the window, or the cat flap if you have a cat. Bye-bye. Now our heads are nice and empty. Imagine a nice, sweet kitten on your lap. If you prefer a ginger one, have a ginger one. If you prefer a black one, have a black one. You could even have a pink one, or a blue one, or a red one. Just make sure it's lovely fluffy like a unicorn and fast asleep. Watch its belly rise and fall, rise and fall. And try and time your breathing in time with the little kitten's belly. Watch it go in and out, in and out, in and out. Now let's just sit quietly for a while and feel the soft fur underneath your fingers. What a sweet little kitten. Let's just sit quiet for a while and enjoy the moment. I love to enjoy the moment. There, wasn't that lovely? Well, sadly, we're going to have to wake the kitten up now. Send him on his way back home to where he belongs. But the good news is, because he's an imaginary kitten, you can get him back anytime you like. In 3, 2, 1, let's open our eyes, wake the kitten up and send him on his way. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye, kitten. Wasn't that relaxing? Thank you very much for keeping me company in this little moment of zen.
Thank you.
My head is lovely and empty, and I hope yours is too.
It is.
Night-night, weirdos.
Thank you, little, and that was great. I feel much more relaxed after that. Wowzers. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call, you'd be very, very welcome to. Let's go to Steve first. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, Ian.
Steve, what can we do for you on this most holiest of Tuesday nights?
I just want to call and say great rabbit hole show on Saturday in Brighton.
Oh, nice one. Thank you. Were you there, or were you poncing it for free on the Periscope?
I was poncing it for free on the Periscope. I did call in. I think my call may have upset you a little bit.
Well, hang on a minute. Now this sounds like fighting talk. No.
I just thought that it was a little bit too blue, because you did go on Twitter and say that things were a little bit too blue.
No, I was talking about my Me Too references were probably a little bit too. Oh no, all of the calls were fine. It's all theatre. Here's the thing. It's all theatre. It's all pantomime. Whenever I lose, 99 times out of 100, whenever I lose my temper on air or at one of these events, it's all theatre. It's all. I don't want to give away too many secrets, but you know, it's a show. I'm a performer. I'm an entertainer.
Oh, okay, that's cool, because you just sort of shook your head and said no.
Yeah, that's called acting, mate. I was on stage in front of 129 people. It's acting.
Were you the guy who was asking about ringtones?
Yeah.
Oh, this dirty git. Get lost, you pervert. No, you ruined the night. Absolutely ruined the night, that guy. I'd forgotten about that. That was outrageous. That was out of order. That was an out-of-order phone call. And so the circle continues. It really is. Good evening, Mark.
Hello, Ian. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Mark. Are you on speakerphone?
I'm not on speakerphone, but I am listening to you on the radio. Shall I turn it down?
You'll turn it off, mate.
I will turn it right off.
You will turn it right off, correct.
Who is this joker?
This is Mark.
Right.
How are you doing? I just wanted to phone because my mate Lucy's having a bit of a rubbish time. Sorry about the swearing.
It's okay. We heard the word shit. Don't say it again.
Yeah. I won't say it again.
Catherine, can you log the fact that we've had one shit on the show
Can everyone
today?
stop saying shit?
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, Mark.
That's 3 shits now, 4 shits.
But now it's 5 shits, 6 shits, 7.
Stop.
Oh yeah. But could you please just say something fun and happy to my friend Lucy? Because she's having a bit of a hard time.
Hang on a minute. How do we know? First of all, what do you want me to say?
I want you to cheer my friend Lucy up.
Well, how do we know? Right, is this a euphemism, first of all?
No, I'm talking about a real person whose name is Lucy.
Okay, and what kind of friend are you that you need a stranger to come and cheer her up?
Oh, you're some lame friend, guy.
Because I've been cheering her up all day.
And you're bored of cheering your friend up?
No, I am, yeah.
Cold.
No, but Ian.
I like his honesty, though. It's hard work cheering up miserable people.
It is.
And Lucy sounds the most miserablest of them all.
She loves talk radio, and she loves you, and she wants you to cheer her up. So sing her a little song or something.
Why are you a monkey boy?
Whoa, Lucy, Lucy, don't be sad, don't be down. Go outside and gonna hit the town. Whoa, Lucy, gonna have some. How old is Lucy, by the way? Before the song continues,
she's 38.
38. Oh, okay, Lucy, gonna have some fun. Yeah, Lucy, gonna have some fun.
Don't, 'cause I know what rhymes with fun.
Lucy
Stop.
takes it. What? No. Cass won't let me cheer her up, mate. Cass will not let me.
Thank you very much, Ian.
No, if she's more upset, that's Cass' fault, because she wouldn't let me take the song to its natural, some would say unnatural, conclusion. I think whatever works for you. Lucy, gonna have some fun now. Lucy, going for a run now. Lucy, already lady. Lucy, feeling kinda lazy. Lying there, look me in the eye, I wanna...
Which eye?
Lucy, Lucy, tell me what you think. One up. Let's go.
He's such a dirty, dirty boy.
Ew, let's go to Diana. Hey, Diana.
Good evening, Katherine.
Good evening, Diana. Welcome to the Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee and Katherine Boyle. Katherine Boyle and Iain Lee. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I really enjoyed listening to Kath last week.
Thank you, Diana.
Okay.
I enjoyed you listening.
Okay. All right. Well, that was last week. Week.
Well,
Kath is off on Friday this week and Thursday next week. I think she sent 3 emails trying to sort the dates out. So you'll be having solo shows from me soon.
Good.
And let's just say that then we can have a real comparison.
What a strange interview with Angus Dayton the other night.
Thank you. Wasn't it awkward?
Well, I couldn't believe. I felt was it a pre-recorded interview?
Yes.
I mean, I like Bob Mills.
Hang on a minute. Can we turn the computer off? Because this buzz is getting right on my nerves.
Kill the buzz.
Kill the buzz. Yeah, it has. I like Bob Mills. Bob Mills, Sunday night, 7 till 10. But boy, oh boy, that Angus Dayton interview, wasn't it weird?
Well, I didn't know what to make of it. He sounded as
try and tell us. Try and put it into words. Try and put it into words, Diana. We're a words-based organisazione.
I know.
Try and put it into words. Try it.
He doesn't sound very nice, does he?
Sounding miserable as sin.
I know, and it was a bit odd.
Mm.
And Bob, I think, tried his best. I don't know what you would have done if it had been you.
I'd have asked him about the drugs and the cocaine and prostitutes. But at that point, if he'd been that unwilling to cooperate, you got to go for broke. You got to go for broke.
Yeah, but he might have walked out there, mightn't he?
So, what's he going to do? Stay and kill the buzz even more?
I would rather he'd have walked out than played that interview out. It was awful. Yeah. Not Bob's fault. Not Bob's fault at all. He did brilliantly with what he had. It's a lousy interview. Hey, we got great interviews. Tomorrow, 10:30, we got Kate Robbins. Kate Robbins is on the show. Next week, we got Noel Sullivan from Hearsay. Big stars in their day, but interesting stories.
As you know, I always listen to Howard Hughes.
Yes. And
the guy talking about the ghost in Scotland.
I was asleep during the ghost in Scotland. I heard the remote viewer guy, who was also quite arsey.
Howard asked the Scottish guy what he wasn't about some Scottish ghosts, and he didn't know about them.
Huh?
Oh, embarrassing.
Hang on, he was there to talk about Scottish...
Known, really, but,
he was there to talk about Scottish ghosts, but then didn't know about Scottish ghosts?
Well, it was Edinburgh ghosts. But I must say, I thought that was a very good piece you did last night about Gary Glitter.
Thank you very much indeed. I recorded it, and Katherine took the hours of raw audio and constructed it into a story. So she did.
Very
once again,
difficult,
Katherine did all the hard work. I get all the glory.
So true.
Story of our careers. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Diana. Thank you. If anyone missed it, I've got to move on because we've got loads of phone calls. If anyone missed it, you can hear it as a podcast if you go to iTunes, if you go to Acast, if you go to your usual podcast provider, Iain Lee, Talk Radio, Katherine Boyle, Gary Glitter, that will pop up. I really want you to smash those like buttons. Yes, line 3, what do you want? To hang up. There we go. Perfect. Let's try Ray. Good evening, Ray.
Yeah, I'm calling on my mobile, so it's not my fault if I run out of power.
There we go. Let's go to Becky the Witch. Good evening, Becky. Becky's chuckling there. Becky, like that.
Ray tickled her.
Ray tickled it. Turns out witches have got a terrible sense of humour. They find really unfunny things funny. Well, that's good to know. Hello, Becky the Witch.
Yeah, I was going to get my boyfriend to fart down the line to you, but he's gone away now.
No, well, in a bit we're going to talk about farting and how it's dangerous to keep it in. Where are you pulling that face for, Katherine?
Well, I mean, I had a week of clean air.
Okay, here's the thing. All right, fine, I'll keep my farts in, but then I could die.
Oh well.
Oh,
gonna die anyway, aren't we?
What? Yes, Becky, what can we do for you, please, Madam Witch?
You cut my best friend off, and I'm very annoyed now.
Well, hang on. Who did I cut off, and what happened?
CJ.
0344 499 1000 is the phone number. Yeah, that's right. I just took on the witch fraternity. This is Talk Radio.
The late night alternative with that man, Iain Lee. There's no strangers here, just friends you haven't stalked on Facebook yet.
Have never sent my picture to anyone who didn't request it.
The late night alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Yes.
0344 499 1000. So this is the big medical issue of the day. Why holding a fart in is seriously bad and could emerge from your mouth instead. What? It's not a burp. That's a mouth fart. So let's have a look. If you've ever doubted the age-old better out than is in wisdom, then now is the time to stop.
Can I ask what scientific publication you're reading from?
The Daily Mirror. While breaking wind may be the sort of thing you prefer to do without an audience, this isn't always practical or possible. Okay. We're not suggesting you make a point of letting rip during a job interview. I have done.
Have you?
Yeah, sure, why not?
What was the interview for? Farter.
But what? Don't the Germans know that the dad is Vater? Those guys are crazy. They say the Germans have no sense of humour. We're not suggesting you make a point of letting rip during a job interview or dropping your guts during Nan's 90th birthday party.
It doesn't say dropping your guts.
But passing air through poo could be, but not passing air through poo could be doing you more harm than good. In fact, by not cutting the cheese, there is a chance you may instead breathe it through your mouth instead. According to Professor Claire Collins, professor and a lady professor at that, a nutrition and dietetics, that doesn't feel like a word, expert at the University of Newcastle, holding in trap wind may cause abdominal distension with some gas reabsorbed into the circulation and exhaled in your breath. Wow. Holding on too long means the build-up of intestinal gas will eventually escape via an uncontrollable fart. Not only this, that's a quote from her, but you could end up with a condition
Jordy would say fart.
You could end up with a condition called diverticulitis, which is where small pouches develop in the gut lining and become inflamed. So actually it is bad for you. However, she did point out more research was needed into this. And she was...
She can come and work here.
There we go. I've got this bit's great. She is asking for 1.6 million euros from the EU to construct the world's biggest Dutch oven. Oh, my God. What's important... That's a staggering amount. What's important to remember is that breaking wind is completely... You right? 1.6 million euros.
Like, are they going to build it next to the Hadron Collider? Because that could be quite a combo.
What's important to... You could send farts back in time. Imagine that, send it back in time.
You make a brown hole.
You send the fart back in time. Imagine, like, Napoleon is about to go to battle and he suddenly goes, "Oh, what is... Who is dropped the guts? What is this? Oh, no, the battle is off. The Battle of Waterloo is off.
You're despicable.
Our farts come courtesy of different sources. Okay, we know...
Curry sauce.
It's bacteria is what it's talking about.
All right.
Her advice, if you need to break wind in public, try to make it to a toilet. But if that's not possible, just let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. That's what the song was originally about. It was from a film. The original title for that movie wasn't Frozen, it was Farting.
She wasn't, yeah.
Go on, you got a joke coming? You got one brewing? Let's hear it.
She wasn't freezing things, she was blowing them over.
There we go, well done.
Have you noticed old people either they don't know they farted really loudly or they don't care anymore?
Well, yeah, when I was in the jungle with Stanley Johnson and we won, the gentleman won a meal, like a luxury meal, right, in the forest at night, because it was boys versus girls, and we beat the girls. And we had to traipse through the forest at like 10 o'clock at night to go to this luxury meal, and we were all behind Stanley, and every step it was... Every step, and we were in hysterics.
Really loud,
really loudly, and he didn't notice it, or he didn't care. I don't know, Dave. What do you think? Did he notice it, or did he just not care?
Yeah, I don't think he cared.
I don't think he cared. Just like his son is farting all over the country. Stanley was doing it,
leaving us all standing in his smelly wake.
There we go. You see, Smelly Wake, by the way, is a great band from the early '80s that you just don't hear enough of these days. Dave, what have you got for us tonight, please, sir?
I was wondering if I could bring up a bit of a thorny subject.
Yeah, let's do it.
Jonathan from Swansea.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan from Swansea. He's a long-time caller to the show. I actually have a Jonathan's Army mug at home, which you drank out of the other day, Catherine. Jonathan, regular caller. We talk a lot about retro video games and hating Muslims and Jews. It was a strange call, a strange caller. But yes, go on.
Well, I've been quite involved in his case because I know a couple of his victims.
Okay.
And I know for a fact that he's being released on licence this Thursday.
Okay, there we go. I knew it was around about this time, yes.
I was just wondering what, if any policy you've got on his possible calling. I mean, I think it'd be daft to try while he's on licence.
Why? I don't know what the rules are about calling radio stations on licence. What are they?
No, I have no idea. But
why would it be daft?
I mean, I understand that people have a chance to rehabilitate.
No. But you just we'll get this. Hang on. You said it would be daft for him to try. I thought that was because you knew the rules. Why would it be daft?
I think if we went straight back to his previous behaviour. I mean, while he's on licence, he's done...
Yeah, but what... Sorry, it's a really specific thing, because you said it. Why would it be daft for him to try and phone the radio show? I don't get that point.
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
Just out of self-preservation for himself.
From our point of view, Dave, he never used the radio station to target the people that you know or anyone else that we're aware of. We wouldn't allow that to happen.
No, that's true. And I do understand that. And I understood your policy of letting him on even when people were telling you what he was up to.
Yeah.
Because,
Here's the thing. I always enjoyed his calls. I particularly enjoyed the ones about retro video games and about rescuing cats. And whenever he said anything that crossed the line in terms of decency or the rules of radio or race, or when he called up, he was severely reprimanded. He was put in his place and the facts were explained. So, yes, Hey, listen, we've had murderers on the show. You know that, don't you? We've had murderers phoning up.
I've heard that you've had people... There was that guy who was just out of prison.
I would... honestly, and this is... okay. Honestly, I would welcome him if he called again.
Okay. I mean, are you perfectly comfortable with that? I mean...
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really know what to say about that.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go.
Okay, but I don't understand. Sorry, I should have run it past the producer. Catherine?
Well, I think I said what I said. As far as we know, unless the terms of his licence do incorporate any kind of broadcasting, and he's not allowed to... I imagine he's not allowed to use the internet or whatever, but I'm just imagining.
I get it.
He never used this programme as a means of attacking people.
Here's the thing. I get it, right? I get it. I know that he threatened he did some awful things. He's gone to prison, right? He's gone to prison. He's done some awful things. He's threatened some awful things and said some awful things to people. I think threatening murder and rape. I don't know. I've not looked too much into it, but threatening murder and rape and being very anti-Semitic and anti-Islamic and stuff like that. Okay. Right, fine. I don't approve of that. I strongly disapprove of that, as if I have to say anything. Strongly disapprove of that. I think what he said and what he did was absolutely was heinous, and I have nothing but sympathy for the victims of that. Absolutely nothing but sympathy for the victims of that. But victims of crimes do not dictate how we run this show. Like I say, we've had murderers on the show. Mm-hmm. We've had murderers on this show and other show. We've had a murderer as a guest. We've had murderers phone up. We've had sex offenders on the show. By having criminals on the show, it isn't condoning what they've done in any way whatsoever. I've got friends who've been in prison, right? I've got friends who some people spent a long time in prison. And I would welcome. I'm trying to overanalyze something. I don't need to overanalyze. I'm really sorry if you find it upsetting, Dave. I would welcome him on the show. I wouldn't welcome what he'd done. I would welcome him on the show because I'd want to know what the last 18 months have been like.
Yeah.
And I always found him a fascinating caller. I never hid any of my fascination about him as a human being. And I'm not saying this is what you were trying to do, Dave. I don't think this is what you were trying to do. But sometimes people try and tell me or try and tell Katherine how we should do the show. Again, Dave, I'm not aiming this at you at all, so please don't take it personally. Some people will tell us how we should do the show, who we should have on the show, who we shouldn't have on the show. I'm really, really sorry. That decision is made by me and Katherine and me. I can see on occasion someone slightly higher than us perhaps stepping in. They haven't so far on this station. We've had 3 years of being allowed to get on with what we do. We once had one caller severely questioned, the stalking guy, severely questioned by our boss, but we managed to defend it, and we managed to defend it to Ofcom, and we won. But the decision of who we have on the show is down entirely to Katherine and down to me.
And generally, because we don't screen calls, anyone can come on, and we judge them based on what happens on air.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet we've had callers that we're quite pally with and we've had a laugh and a joke with that have done terrible things.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to know every single person's history?
And also, what do you draw the line at? I'm a drug addict. I'm a drug addict. I took a lot of cocaine. Do we draw the line at drug addicts? Where do we draw the line as to what crime is acceptable and what crime is unacceptable?
However, the point at which I would start banning callers because of what they've done outside the radio station is if they were using the show to target someone.
There we go.
And we've done that in the past.
I would agree with you on that. So thank you, Dave. I don't quite know why the call ended like that. I was quite happy to have a conversazione about that, and I'm still very happy to have a conversation about that. I would love to ask why you brought it up, because I'm slightly scratching my head as to what that was for. And Dave, listen, I know you're a contributor to the show. I know we get Pimple Popper review and all of that stuff. So please, I hope this doesn't sour anything between us. But I'm slightly confused as to why you brought it up and why you were surprised by my reaction.
I'm also concerned that are we missing something?
Yeah. Yeah, but also, I don't want to do it via email. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Let's keep all this stuff out in the open if we could. But yes, I would. He's coming out, and also I knew he was coming out this month, but I didn't know it was Thursday. So you've given quite a lot of information about it. So everyone's going to be tuned in on Thursday. I don't think he'll call us for a while.
No, I don't think. No,
he's not going to call us Thursday. Everyone's going to be tuned in on Thursday to see if he does. We've had calls from prison, haven't we?
Not from prison. People who've just been released.
We had that guy who'd been released after serving a long... He sent over 10 years, didn't he? So he'd done something.
And I had a phone call last week from a mum of someone who's in prison for terrible crimes.
Oh, right, OK. Oh, yeah,
someone tried to have a go at me for talking to someone's mum.
You were helping that criminal, Katherine. I didn't hear it, but I read about it online.
Yeah.
You were really trying to help that criminal.
Yeah, I was helping her raise money by not giving her website out.
Shame on you. So, Dave, I hope we haven't fallen out over that. I certainly bear no grudge. I hope you don't as well. I hope you can still listen to the show. If you decide that you can't listen to the show anymore, that would be... well, listen, we need all the listeners we can get, but that would, I think that the shame would be greater for you because it's a great show. It's one of the best shows, and it seems silly. You're welcome to not listen. You're welcome to switch off if Jonathan ever does come on and you're not comfortable with it. I get it. Of course, I get it. If you're friends with the people that he terrorised, I get it. But I just have to say that by having a caller on, and I don't even have to say that. Because I don't even have to say that. But also, and again, this isn't directed at you, Dave. No one try and produce. I've got one producer, and she sat there, right? So no one try and produce the show, please. I have a perfectly good producer who knows exactly what she's been doing. She's been doing it for about 20 years. She's won awards and she's flipping good. So no one produced the show from outside. If you don't mind, right? Another hour to go, dear listener. The switchboard is empty. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call, 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. You'll speak to Amy. She'll take your name and number and give you a call straight back. This is the Late Night Alternative, weeknights from 10 with Iain and Kath on Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Is that the remix?
I've made myself laugh with my Louis Armstrong impression at the end of that. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee and Katherine Boyle. We are... Turn that computer off! Thank you. We is up in our game. We're up in our game. We're going to work harder. We're going to make better radio shows for you. Whether people are listening or not, we just don't care, do we? Well, I mean, we care. We've got another year of this nonsense, and we're treating it we've had a conversation. We're going to treat it as though it's our last 12 months here, because you just don't know. Hopefully it won't be. Hopefully it will be
our last 3 months.
Well, for you it is. I've definitely got a year.
Well, get fired.
I can't get... Well, I'm not going to do anything to get fired.
Well, that's what you always say.
No, fair.
Especially now you've said that. That's like the beginning of Casualty. I'll be fine. I don't need a ladder. I'll just stand on this chair.
Ollie and Andre, stay there. Speaking of beginning of Casualty, right? So the cats today, you let the cats out, and you came over today. You brought Little one because you've only got one because the other one's on holiday. She's gone away, and it's Esau. And I said, if she wants to come around, I've got nothing to do. But if you want to come around, we can go and get some lunch, and she can come and play with the cats. You know, I know she likes the cats. So we went and got some food, and then we came back, and there was only one of the cats. I said, right, well, if we go and stand in the back garden and shake the bag of biscuits, you watch. The other, Lucky, the black and white one, will come shooting in, and but the game is you point to where you think she's going to come from.
You've never seen a cat run faster.
It's so funny, man. It's so funny. It's just... And so we stood at the back, and we're shaking the thing, and it sometimes takes a little while, depending on how far away she is. And after about 5-10 minutes, she hadn't rocked up.
No.
And I was starting to think... Okay, right. I wasn't panicking, but I was starting to feel uncomfortable.
She's busy.
I thought, oh, God, because where I live, right at the end of my garden, up a little ridge, there's a train track. There's an actual train track. On the other side, there's a mobile home park. And I thought, I bet she's getting fed over there. She comes back smelling of perfume sometimes. I bet she's getting fed. So after about 15 minutes, I did something I haven't done in 6-7 months I've lived in. Hang on, September, October, November... December, January, February, March. This is 7 months. 8 months I've lived there. So I haven't done it in 8 months. I climbed over the fence at the back of my garden, over barbed wire. I laid a tea towel across the barbed wire. I know what I'm doing.
That's that sorted.
I know what I'm doing. And I climbed up the embankment, and suddenly I'm stood on a train track. Literally, I was stood on a train track, and I was thinking, well, is one of these meant to be electric, one of the rails? But there are only 2 rails. I don't think the rails are electric. I didn't lick them. And it's a very straight thing. There's no curve, so you can see quite some distance either way. Right? I'm not suggesting for 1 second you do this, but I'm stood on a train track, shaking a bag of cat biscuits, going, Lucky! Lucky! And then a woman... Here's the weird thing. And I can see the mobile home park. And then the mobile home directly in front of me, the woman opens the door and she goes, all right, Ian. I went, all right. She goes, it's Annette. Do you remember? I went... Oh, God, you work in the charity shop. Yes, of course I know you, because I met her a few months ago and had a very nice chat with her. I ended up giving her my phone number because I said, if the cat shows up, could you give us a call? But I was stood on a train track shouting for my cat.
And I'm saying to my 7-year-old now, you must never do that.
Oh, is that...
Ian knows exactly what he's doing there, and I'm thinking he doesn't, and he's shouting, Lucky, I hope he is.
I did go to Kath. I'm just going to go and have a look on the train track, just in case. But seeing how close it is, flipping it, I don't know if I want to let those girls out again. I mean, but they're cats, and that's what they do, and they will go off, and sometimes they will disappear for days. And I was about to go in the car. I got in the car, and I drove round the block, and then you phoned me up saying, oh, she's just rocked up.
Yeah, like Lady Muck, like nobody's business what she's been up to.
Unbelievable. So what I need to know, dear listener, is how do we stop her doing it again? Katherine suggested that if she's being taken into someone's home, maybe I strap like a little bomb with a clock on her, but not a real bomb, like
pretend one.
A little pretend bomb, that says bomb, and a little clock on there,
just enough to alarm a pensioner. Or we roll her in something smelly. Could you not put I know cats don't really like collars, but could you not put a collar on her with a note saying, please stop feeding my cat? Or I kill you.
Do you know what? I might have to try. They're chipped. I might have to try collars, but I know that velvet. I always worried with velvet. We tried it twice, and both times I actually saw her do it once. Both times the collar would be left hanging from a branch about 20 feet up in a tree, and what she'd do, she would hook it on a branch and pull her head backwards, and I just imagine finding her hanging from a tree. So any tips, dear listener, would be gratefully appreciated.
There's a broken collar in my back garden, actually, where some cat has obviously pulled that trick.
0344 499 1000. Let's go to Ollie.
Hi, Ian and Kath.
Hello, Ollie.
Hello. Can I talk about Jonathan?
Yes.
I just want to... now I'm going to get all nervous. I just want to say that I think that...
By the way, just before you say this, we can't fall out over this because everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course. So don't. If people want to phone up and say I don't want to hear him, that's absolutely fine, and we will listen. Of course, we'll listen. But we're not going to fall out over it. So don't worry about that. We're not going to argue about it. So just be cool.
No, I think that because you don't give them a free ride. I think it's awesome. I think what you do is you pick out the best parts of him, and when he starts to devolve into his hate speech, you really hammer home how awful that is. And that's how I got kind of hooked on this show, is like listening to you hammer people who are racist and get into these rants against them. And I don't want to freak you out, but sometimes I go on YouTube and I just listen to you, like there's playlists of you having a go at racists. I sometimes enjoy.
But here's the bit. Well, Katherine just made I'm going to say it. Katherine made the coffee bean sign, implying you're masturbating to that.
He obviously gets a kick out of it, and that's fine.
She actually just looked at me and went,
whatever works, and you won't have to register for it.
But here's the irony, Ollie. Here's the irony. Yeah. I am a massive racist in real life. No. Yeah, I hate all different colours and creeds.
Yeah, you know, like what they say about the biggest homophobes are probably gay. Yeah. This virtue signaller, awful person.
That means you're saying I'm black.
No, I'm saying you're a massive racist.
No, you're right. Here's the thing, Ollie, and this is it. You know, whenever someone comes out with a, you know, listen, we're liberal lefties and all of that. Well, I certainly am. I couldn't speak for Katherine. But whenever somebody comes out with obnoxious views, and Jonathan did come out with some obnoxious views on this show.
He also tried it on with us a bit, didn't he, online? And we called him out for it.
Yeah. We would not only challenge him, I would correct him. Yeah. And if it became too obnoxious, I would cut him off and I would apologise to the listener, to anybody who may have been offended. And yeah, he did some weird things with me. He made like these little sort of stop motion Lego videos of me and my kids, and I called it. I pulled him up on it, and I called him out for it. I mean, I get why some people wouldn't want to listen to him. Of course, I do. But me personally, I would be fascinated to know what has happened and what has changed, if anything.
That's what I want to say. Is like I want to hear if he's reflected on it. I want to hear what it's like in prison for racists, if you go into racist gangs or something.
This guy's been watching Prison Break season 1. Hold my pocket.
You imagine him in the prison yard deciding which gang he's going to be in.
The Mexicans or the blacks.
He's going to be pumping iron. I just really want to know. Here's the thing about Jonathan, and it's easy for us to say because we were not his victims, and I can understand why his victims don't want to hear his voice, right? But the experience he's had, I want to know if it's changed him, whether he is gonna. Because there were moments where you heard a damaged kid with Jonathan.
Oh God, the relationship with his parents that we touched on,
and you know they were few and far between, but they were the little moments where I thought, hang on a minute, we might be getting to the point with him, and then he go back to being racist and stuff, and we ban him again, but. We can't make judgments about people's fitness as callers based on their criminal records. Otherwise, we'd have no callers.
We would have very, very few callers. And you're right. If he'd have used this show to target people, then that's a different thing altogether. No, at the moment, and it might change, but I have thought about this a lot. I am very, very comfortable with the idea of him calling in. And on an emotional level, we can't control our emotions. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you hoping that he's going to come back a changed man?
I bet he's not, though.
Of course he isn't.
No.
But
I hope for listen, I would hope for his own personal sanity and welfare, and for those of his victims, that he has come back. But do you know what? Actually, I'm not even that sure I'd necessarily, the first few calls, talk about prison. I'd want to talk to him about retro video games. I'd want to talk to him about that stuff more than go, so tell us what it was like inside for a racist guy like yourself. I don't think I'd want to do it like that. I just want to treat him as a caller. If he wants to phone up and say, I want to talk to you about which Beach Boy I think I could have in a fight, that kind of vibe, that's kind of where I'd go, I think. I don't know, Ollie.
I don't know. I just think, does prison make people like that worse or better? That's the thing that I really want to know.
Yeah. Well, there's one way to find out, Ollie.
Going.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, listen. Ollie and I and Roger, another regular caller. We play. We're not. It's not like we hang out and stuff, but we hang out online.
Oh.
And we.
Hurt his feelings now.
No. Well, we don't. When have we ever hung out in IRL? I'm saying to save time.
Where are we?
We're not. Because you're weird.
I'm crying.
Yeah, good.
He's outside your house now.
Just turning back going, oh, well. No, but we play games online, video games online. Yeah. And you can watch us. You can watch us quite often on twitch.tv/Iain Lee. By the way, all my Twitch game streaming, family friendly now. Apart from, so you and Roger need to watch your language. There was a lot of F's and S's the other day. Stop it.
Yeah, I did mean to. But my wife tells me that when you click on the page, it says adult content.
Well, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change the setting.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I like Ollie's calls because whenever he mentions his wife, she's always the one setting him straight about things.
I'll be honest, his wife was getting on my nerves the other day. She had a really hacking cough in the background while we were playing, and it was just putting me off. Anyway, that's by the by. That's for him to discuss with her.
It's like that time he said, my wife thinks you bully me. I would love to know the conversations that they have.
Well,
she thinks he can do better.
Yeah, shut up, Ollie.
Yeah,
just shut up. No, I was getting a bit bored of Apex Legends because it is a bit boring. But so Ollie recommended another game.
Overcooked.
No, we haven't played that yet.
Oh.
He recommended a game which is flipping brilliant. What is it called? Big Dong.
What?
What's it called? Dim Sum.
Sure. Nidhogg.
Nidhogg. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like an old 8-bit? I always get confused with the bits. 8-bit, 16-bit?
Well, the first one's like 8-bit, like Atari-esque game, but this one's like 16-bit.
16-bit, so it's like old school thing. And basically, you're on a screen and it's two of you, and you've got to have like a sort of sword fight, and whoever knocks the other person down can then carry on rushing forward. So one of you goes left and one of you goes right, and basically you've got to run to the end of this series of screens, just trying to have a sword fight with the other guy and beat them. Man, it's some game. It's funny as hell.
One match went on for like 10 minutes, didn't it?
Well, yeah, because it can't go for more than that, Ollie, because 10 minutes is the game limit, as you know. So I don't even know why you're saying that.
You're the expert.
But it's some game. What's Dim Sung? It's called or something. Knob Sung.
Hard Hog 2.
Roadhog 2.
The Whole Hog.
The Whole Hog 2. Isn't that film where John Travolta goes to Las Vegas on a motorbike?
Wild Hogs.
Thank you. It's Wild Hogs 2.
My dad's got that on DVD.
Great movie. Great game. Well, this is the game of it. It's called Wild Hogs 2, and it's a great game. Ollie, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate that. 0344 499 1000. Did we do the break? Oh, let's do it now.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee. On air and off the leash. On Talk Radio.
I like it when I have a holiday. A, because I like holidays, and B, I come back enthused for the show. We're coming towards the end of the second show, and I think it's been a humdinger. Of course, that enthusiasm will wane halfway through Thursday's show. We know that. The energy levels will go back to zero. All right, and then they'll be back to the same old rubbish. We know that. Enjoy it while it lasts, guys. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Here's a good one. Judge orders both twins to pay child support when neither admits paternity. It's a bit like a modern-day version of, I'm going to say King Solomon. Was it Solomon who was going to cut the baby in half?
Yes.
It was, wasn't it?
Two mothers fighting over a baby. He says, right, you can have half each.
Well, why were they fighting over one baby? What happened?
Because they thought, they both thought it was their baby.
Okay. No, they didn't. No, they did. Well, okay. No, they didn't.
Although one obviously knew it wasn't.
Yeah, but why did she know that it wasn't?
She could...
Come on, class, you know the answer to this.
I don't.
Well, okay. So, there are two mums.
Someone's baby's died.
How? Doesn't matter how. Yeah, you're right. One of the babies died, and so she took the baby and she swapped babies.
Right.
And King Solomon said, "Right, whose baby is it?" And they both went, "It's mine." Whose baby? Come on, ladies. Whose baby's the live baby? It's mine. He said, all right, fine. Well, this is because he's a wise man. He sounds like a violent man, but a wise man. He said, okay, right. Well, then what I'm going to do, if it's both yours, I'm going to chop it in half. You can have half each. And so he got the sword, and he was about to swing it down, and the woman who'd stolen the baby went, okay, no, it's not. It's not my baby.
Oh, I thought the story was the real mother said, no, she can have him. Because that's true love. The true motherly love is to let the baby... go with someone else rather than die.
You're probably right.
Whereas the other woman was like, yeah, I'll have half.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, thank you. I've got that story wrong for the last 45 years. I've been going around chopping babies up. Yay. Anyway, this is like a modern version of King Solomon, not in any way connected with his mines. The Brazilian judge called out the deadbeat dad, whichever identical twin he is, for not stepping up for his baby. So, a pair of identical twins in Central Brazil...
They don't talk like that.
...are in double trouble...
It's a bit Portuguese, so it's a bit more
Brazil, la 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 la, Brazil.
It's a bit more like Brazil. They say Brazil.
I don't think so.
It's
No,
weird.
no, it's wrong. It's wrong. No. We're moving on from that. It's finished.
I did Portuguese for a year.
Okay,
so-
fine. Well, we're not talking about Portugal. We're talking about Brazil. So you're wrong, actually. A pair of identical twins in Brazil are in double trouble after a judge ordered them to pay child support for a single baby. One of the twins had a casual fling with a woman who later gave birth to a baby girl. The woman isn't certain which twin is the dad. Holy moly, what is going on here?
Gone to Italy, apparently.
Judge Felipe Luis Verruca, sounds like Verruca, ordered the brothers and identified only as Fabrizio and Fernando to take DNA tests. Both tests came back positive, according to the New York Times. And neither man would fess up to being the father, likely hoping to avoid paying up. The judge, who sits in the state of Goiás, said the two men were taking away the child's right to know her real dad. He ordered each twin to fork over $60 a month, or 30% of the Brazilian minimum wage, towards child support. That'll actually help the child. She'll be getting twice as much as kids from a similar economic background. Peruca also called out the deadbeat dad in his court ruling, accusing him of acting in bad faith, and stating, "Such a vile behaviour cannot be tolerated by the law." The judge ruled that the names of both men will appear on the girl's birth certificate.
Gosh.
The lesson there is?
Find out what his name is.
Never have it off with a twin.
Well, if that was the case, I wouldn't be born.
Why? Did you have it off with a twin?
No, my mother was a twin. Is a twin.
So your mum
had it off, and I was
with
the
a Brazilian man?
No.
Your mum had it off. How dare... shame on you. You said about your elderly...
She's not elderly.
She's a pensioner.
She's not.
How old is she? 62? That's pension...
63?
Yeah, that's pension... That's
not
pension
anymore,
age.
ain't.
That's pension age for a lady. She's an OAP. She's a senior... Right, she's a senior citizen.
No, she's not.
Oh, sorry. You're just saying... Basically accuse your mum of being an SLAG.
No, I'm not.
And now you're having a go at me because I'm talking about chronology. You need to get your priorities sorted out. You've bad-mouthed your mother, and she will hear this, minus my bits. I will redact my bits, but I will be sending her an edited audio of the last 5 minutes of this broadcast. Doesn't matter what you say now, because I won't include it.
Yeah.
Unless it's really rude about your mum again.
She's a brilliant woman.
Too late, that's not going in.
And she would... Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
She would understand. She's quite an open-minded
Have you got a story,
person.
or do we go to Andre?
Yeah, no. Oh, God. No. A woman in China has given birth to twins with two different dads.
Andre, you've got to wait.
Jeez.
Okay.
I mean... no, tell you what. Be my guest. Have that.
Andre, good news. You jumped the queue.
Ian, I've got a bit of a problem. Oh, hi, Ian. Hi, Kath, by the way. Hello, Kath?
Yep, go on.
Oh, bit economical with the airwaves again.
I'm tempted to allow Jonathan on and ban Andre.
Yeah, no, I haven't got my lappy on, by the way, but all I'd like to say, you know, you was talking about that cat.
Yes.
You know what to do?
No.
You know what cats don't like? Orange
being
peel.
buggered, I found out.
No, orange peel. They
the
hate
hard
it.
way.
Line the perimeter of your garden with orange peel, and it won't get out.
You're telling me if I put orange peel all around my garden, my cat will stay in?
Problem with that,
Yeah,
Ian won't eat oranges.
I will not eat an orange. I'll eat a tangerine, but that will take a lot of...
Orange peel, cats hate it, Ian. They
So
do.
does Ian.
Put orange peel under a cat's nose and it'll run a mile.
You don't want him to run,
Guaranteed.
you don't want him to run a mile. You want him to stay in.
Well, you don't want it to get out of the garden. Put it around the perimeter, don't you, if that stays in the garden.
Oh, here's a weird thing. Someone I used to be really good friends with is going to be on the Matthew Wright show tomorrow, Carvers Tarabi. Carvers Tarabi's dad is Iranian. And he used to think the lyrics...
I can smell that, Andre.
He used to think that, you know, the going for gold thing? You know, going
It's
for
a
gold...
grown-up person on the end of the phone, by
You
the
know,
way.
going for gold? Henry Kelly.
He'd his arm.
Yeah. Well, he thought each line was sung in a different language.
Oh, excuse me.
And he thought the first line was...
The last one was horrible.
He thought the first line was... Dahimazon.
Yeah, I'm a bit.
He thought it was all in different European languages. Dahimazon. The time is right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carvis is on the show with someone I don't really like to. All right, Andre, thanks so much, then, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There we go. 0344 499 1000.
Unmissable late night radio with the original king of unconventional conversation.
Make contact with Iain Lee. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on Talk Radio.
We've got Kate Robbins on the show tomorrow night at 10:30.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to a lot. What have you got, Katherine?
She's a good one. No, I was going to tell you that story about the
499 1000, by the way.
about the woman who got busted for cheating when she had twins by two different dads. It's possible.
Okay.
I heard this on Keith and the Girl, I've got to say, but it was prompted by your delightful story about the twins.
Don't give them credit. They don't deserve credit.
I like them.
No.
I like them very much. They're very entertaining.
No, they're banned.
Story was revealed after the couple from southeastern Shymen City had to register...
Shymen? They weren't that shy.
Shymen.
They weren't that shy. Obviously, they were quite forthcoming. Only the second coming. Two coming. Two men are coming in Shymen City.
The story was revealed after the couple...
Pepsi Cola with that?
From southeastern Shymen City.
Why are you doing a Chinese voice? That's actually I'm not
doing a Chinese voice. I'm just waiting for you to jump in. Don't. Had to register the birth of their twin sons at the local police station early last year. In order to complete the registration, they had to produce the results of a paternity test to prove that the babies were theirs. The husband, known only by a pseudonym, Zhao Long, had wondered why one of his sons didn't look like him.
Meanwhile, Willie Short...
Upon receiving the DNA results, he was...
That only works if you consider the word Zhao to mean penis. Zhao Long.
Zhao Long, very. Or apparently not long enough.
The last 30 minutes of the show are my favourite, even though it's generally the worst.
Is this you speaking now, or is this... are you in character?
Did it sound like me? Did it sound like me?
You were looking at your screen at the time, so I thought it might have been a tweet.
Was it my voice? Oh. Did you see my mouth moving?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, it was me.
Upon receiving...
See my fingers moving in a minute. Finished now. Zhao Long in Shyman City. Go on.
How long has this been going on? About 9 months. Get it?
You're two shy men when one of you's the dad. We both are.
Upon receiving the DNA results, he was still shocked at discovering that one of the boys did not have any biological relationship with him, according to a director at the Fujian Zhengtai Forensic Identification Centre.
You know, in China, they've done experiments and they can shrink people to an inch.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
How do you know?
I've read files. They can shrink people to an inch. Carry on.
I've nearly finished. According to the director, Mr. Zhang, you don't need to know his first name, it's none of your business. Zhao Long was furious after reading the DNA report and confronted his wife. Well, you would, wouldn't you? It was reported that the wife initially denied the affair and accused her husband of falsifying the results. Fake news. Upon being confronted by Zhao Long, the wife admitted she'd slept with another man and that it was a one-night stand.
Zhao Long!
I've already done that.
I did it better, like I often do.
No, see, what he does is he does it louder and then...
Zhao Long!
People think it's his joke, but actually...
This has been going on.
It's always mine.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell was that bit?
Satchmo.
Twins being born with different fathers is an extremely rare occurrence known as heteropaternal superfecundation.
The old superpaternal heterofecundation. We've all been there, lads.
According to experts, the exact odds of the phenomenon are hard to calculate, but previous studies suggest the chance could be between 1 in 400 pairs and 13,000 pairs, according to The Guardian.
That's not that bad. Hang on, what? No, what?
Yeah.
1 in 400 pairs is fathered by a different man. Well, you know what I say.
Go on.
1 in the pink, 1 in the stink.
Stop it!
That way,
terrible.
you know. You know, Zhao Long, this has been going on. What was this story? And this isn't a funny story that we're about to do. So you need to stop laughing, because actually I want to go back to the story you mentioned during the news.
Which one?
During the break. About the penises being chopped off.
Oh yeah.
What is that? And this genuinely isn't a funny story.
Well, it's a weird thing. I think it's a drug thing. Let me check. Right, so I'm going to put in. I need to find it again now.
What?
Costa del Sol.
I wish you'd finished that word instead of just leaving it hanging.
And penis. What could possibly go wrong? Here we go. This is in the sun.co.uk/news.
I don't think they can slash.
/8823/800 /2nd-man-costa-del-sol -hacked -off -penis -sex-game /.
Okay.
See, the Sun is taking this very with but actually it's terrible. But
do you want to hear something funny? Do you want to hear something funny?
Go on.
This is from. Hang on a minute. Let me find it. This is.
They're giving this title Willy Riddle.
No, what are you talking about?
This
is Pete Tong reading out the BBC website for the first time ever in 1995.
Brilliant.
This is flipping.
Many thanks to Eric Powell for an excellent selection of tunes, and as he packs up his box there, we'll just take a little look at what he played during the last couple of hours and provide a list of it in this coming week's Update magazine, the next edition of Mixmag, and we'll post it out there on the BBC homepages of the internet. And I keep saying that and not giving you the address, and I do get a lot of inquiries, so it's very complicated, but here it comes. http://www.bbcnc.org.uk/radio1/p/tong/index/html. I know it doesn't make sense, but if you've got a computer and you're out there on the internet, you will understand what I mean.
Oh, Pete, mate.
Isn't that great?
Willy Riddle.
Yeah.
Second bloodied man found wandering around Costa del Sol with hacked-off penis could be victim of sex game gone wrong, cops fear, after ruling out cannibal drug theory.
Okay.
That's just the title.
Yeah.
The man was found on a Costa del Sol street, waving his detached member in one hand while claiming to be an alien called Sergio, according to reports.
Wow. Well, an actual alien or an illegal alien?
Called Sergio. Cops fear a man found wandering the streets... Cops with a P. Found wandering the streets... Cops fear a man found wandering the streets of the Costa del Sol holding his own detached penis had it cut off as part of a sex game gone wrong.
That's gone very
reported.
Very wrong.
The Spanish man was seen waving the detached member in one hand while claiming to be an alien called Sergio.
Wow.
He was rushed to hospital for emergency surgery, where medics found the remains of his wrecked willy wrapped with rubber bands and shoelaces. Flipping heck!
Ooh.
That's going to smart. Put some Savlon on that and don't pick it, but I don't fancy your chances. It was also reported he showed signs of having suffered a blow to the head and having been suffocated. This is nasty. According to Diario Sur, police are probing the theory he may have been involved in a sex game
do the accent.
with others, which involved extreme torture. They're also investigating the idea he may suffer serious mental health issues, you think, and voices told him to mutilate himself. Oh, my God. It comes less than a month after a 33-year-old Brit was found wandering the streets of Zaragoza, where I used to live, with his penis in a plastic bag after chopping it off at home.
Flipping heck.
The Brit told cops he chopped off his own manhood on the 14th of March, and investigators said he may have been on the influence of drugs or could have mental health problems. Wow. An investigation into the incident on Sunday is now underway. Local police stopped the man in Ben El Madina after a local rang them to say he'd spotted a stranger staggering near his home with blood on his crotch. At first he claimed to be an alien named Sergio, but later said he was a woman called Naomi. Doctors who confirmed his penis had been half amputated and another part torn
that'd be a ball.
Have operated on him at Ben El Madina Hospital. Police say he's now been identified. 32-year-old Spaniard. Source said investigations are continuing, but everything at this moment in time is pointing towards the man self-harming.
Hey, poor bloke. Flipping it.
Terrible.
Isn't it?
But the one in Zaragoza, last month, the 33-year-old was remanded in custody by a judge on suspicion of amputating his British flatmate's penis in the Zaragoza incident. The unnamed Spaniard was arrested on March 14th, nearly a week after the unidentified Brit was rushed to hospital after being spotted bleeding heavily in the street near his expat home. Police found his sex organ in a plastic bag in their flat and he was reattached in an emergency op. What the hell is going on? Officers initially said they thought the expat had harmed himself and were not looking for anyone else. But the case took a dramatic twist with the arrest announced after a local paper reported the Londoner had been using a social networking app to search for someone to film him amputating his penis.
I've heard of that being a thing where people get sexually aroused at the thought of carrying out an amputation on themselves, but they've almost never go through with it. It's the thought, but they spend a lot of their time looking for someone to watch it. That's the turn on. Is the thought of someone watching them amputate, and it can be a limb, it can be a penis, it can be whatever. But it almost never goes. They almost never go through with it. But it's
I saw a thing years ago about people who felt like they shouldn't have legs. And they were trying to find doctors who would do an amputation, a voluntary amputation.
What a world. What a world we live in. Nigel, stay there. We will come to you next. This is Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
Paul Ross will be on after one. He's got Billy Bragg on tonight. We've had Billy on the show. I only met him whenever it was. Was it a year ago? Mm-hmm. Probably more than that. What a nice bloke. Billy Bragg is everything you'd expect Billy Bragg to be, plus a little bit more. He's such a delightful gentleman, so I should look forward to hearing that. 0344 499 if you want to give us a call. Let's go to Nigel. Good evening, Nigel.
Oh, hi, Ian.
Hey, Nigel. How's things going?
Not too bad. Been into Maidstone again.
You've been what?
Been into Maidstone again.
Beautiful. Have you been to the food bank yet?
It was raining all the way to Maidstone. I got soaked, again.
Yeah. Have you been to the food bank yet?
Yes, because I missed the last one, they're going to do me one for tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Brilliant. Oh, so you're going to go tomorrow?
I've got to collect it tomorrow, because the last time, because of the weather or something, I didn't turn up, and they had one, it was ready, but I didn't.
Yeah, this is the thing,
I've got another one.
All right, brilliant. Well, go. Yeah, make sure you do go tomorrow, because people put a lot of work into...
Well, I spoke to the man that does the food, and I told him what I wanted, and he's going to do that specially for me.
Brilliant. Well, make sure you do go, because they put a lot of work into putting all that together, and it'd be a shame for it to go to waste.
Sure, of course I need to, because I haven't got much money left for a week. I've got to go a whole week without very much money.
Yeah.
Have you seen Asian porn on Twitter?
Gosh, I mean, that really, that caught me by surprise. Asian porn.
On Twitter. Well, it's rather good, because it relaxes me. But, it takes my mind off troubles and things. I find, anyway. But, are you looking now for it?
No, not on a work computer.
It's just that there's a lot of good things on Twitter, a lot of films on Twitter that are good.
Asian porn?
Pardon?
Did we hear right what you said, Nigel?
Asian porn?
Asian porn, it's called, yeah.
And it's
free, too. It's a free one.
Oh, gosh. Well, good, because money's a bit tight at the moment, I hear. Well, listen.
I think it's breaking up a bit, the signal, a little bit.
Okay, unfortunately, it's not.
Hang on, I'll just move into the kitchen.
Okay,
as we go through the keyhole.
Is that what they refer to it as? I don't know. I've not seen it.
I did like what you were talking about. It's rather disgusting. People cutting their penises off. It's terrible.
Gosh, this conversation really is
going downhill.
It's at the bottom of the hill. It was there for the last 90 seconds, but it really is taking so many twists and turns.
Maybe the person was looking at too many Dickens books.
Or maybe they were looking at too much Asian porn. I don't know. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Nigel.
I'll call you tomorrow earlier. Okay.
Here we go.
Wow.
Gosh.
Do I put out another Nigel update?
I would leave that one. I would probably leave that one on Twitter. He says, "Gosh."
And it's free.
Wow. I mean, I'm actually speechless. Actually speechless. Still, he's going to the food bank tomorrow. No wonder he can't go. He's found free Asian porn on Twitter. But he needs to keep his strength up.
Well,
Asian porn on Twitter.
Yeah.
Free.
You know, it don't cost him anything, does it?
It's free. I'm very, like, maybe twice in my entire 20-year career have I been... But I'm speechless.
I thought I must have heard it wrong, but no.
Well, I thought it was like a thing, like an account, like a spoof account. But
I'm not looking.
I'm not looking. Not on a work computer. I'll wait till I get home. Okay. Wow, that was not the update. That was not the Nigel update. I've been away for a week. What have you done to him?
That was nothing to do with me.
Okay. Right. Yes. Okay. I
mean, we've just had something we can't unhear. How about this story?
Thank you very much indeed, Catherine. Good. Moving swiftly on.
A woman was living out her worst nightmare when it turned out her eye infection was caused by bees living inside her eye and eating her tears.
All right, Chris Morris, go on. This is great.
In what's described as a world's first, doctors from Fujian University Hospital in Taiwan managed to extract 4 bees from her eye socket.
4.
According to the Daily Mail, the woman, known only by her surname, he, was cleaning...
Sorry?
She's known only by her surname, he.
So it was a bloke?
No, a woman.
Well, hang on, what are they called?
Surname, he.
No, her.
Was cleaning...
No, hang on a minute. So it's a man?
She's a he.
So it's trans?
No, she's a he. She's a member of the he.
So it's a woman?
No.
All right, what's her name?
He.
No, her. What's she called?
He.
Not interested in him, I want to know about her.
She's called he.
When did she call him? How does she know him?
She's he.
What's her...
He.
I'm not... It's not funny. I'm not... So what is her name?
He.
Not him, her!
He.
You're getting on my nerves now. Etc, 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 etc. Who's on first? I don't know who's on second. Thank you very much. We continue.
He, she, I full of B. She was cleaning a relative...
Can we go back to the Asian porn, please? Maybe this is it. I don't know.
She was cleaning a relative's grave and pulling out weeds when the insect flew straight into her eyes. She described feeling something in her eye but assumed it was dirt or sand, so she tried to flush out the particles with water. However, the pain persisted and by night time she started tearing up and felt a sharp pain in her eye. God.
Glad you're finding this funny.
Dr. Hung Cheating.
I mean, listen. Starts off sounding like a great guy, but by the end of it, you're thinking, well, Hung Cheating. This is, come on. This is not a real story.
It is. I've got a video of it. Dr. Hung Cheating, the head of ophthalmology at the hospital, told a press conference that the 20-year-old was hospitalised with cellulitis and keratitis, a bacterial skin infection, and the inflammation of the cornea. He then proceeded to inspect her eye under his microscope, but discovered, insect legs wriggling in her socket. No one wants that. He took them out and realised that it was 4 sweat bees feeding on Ms. He's tears. The bees were extracted alive from her eyes. And there is video.
Of it. Let's have a look. Let's watch this. There's an eye. There's bees. Yeah, there's bees in her eyes, yeah. Oh, here we go. Look.
Feeding on her tears.
And he's doing that. It's like that test you have at the optician when they puff air into it. Are we going to see an eye? Oh, we're going to see a bee climbing out of her eye. Oh, no, that's her fine now. All right, we're just watching a...
That's he.
No, that's a woman, definitely. It's so hard to tell these days. We're just watching. We're just watching a news report. We're not watching a bee being taken out of an eye. Okay, well that's great.
There's my action.
Yeah, we go. You show me something that's actually useless.
While sweat bees tend to be non-aggressive, they are known to be attracted by human sweat, hence the name. It's also fortunate she'd not rubbed her eyes when she felt pain, as it could have squashed and killed the insect in her eye, which would have led to more serious issues and even caused blindness. Ms. He has been discharged and is expected to make a full recovery. Dr. Hung also added that the incident serves as a reminder for those who practice Qingming, also known as...
Quimning? You tell me, because that's how Michael Douglas got mouth cancer, was from Quimming. Are you saying this is how she got a bee in her eye from Quimming?
Quimming. Also known as Tomb Sweeping Day. Wow, there's a euphemism.
Yeah, isn't it? Well, I mean, seriously, needs must.
To take precautions and wear goggles.
Well, do you know what? I'm prepared to wear goggles. Well, do you remember the dental dam?
Yes.
Wasn't that when you were supposed to put like a bit of plastic over a lady's thing? So when you went quimming...
I thought we'd put it in your mouth like a rugby player.
I thought it was like a bit of cling film you put over a Wang Chung. So when you were licking it, you were basically just licking a fanny through a bit of plastic.
A bit pointless, isn't it?
But to stop you getting a Michael Douglas.
Anyway, that's that sorted. That's your health slot.
Last 10 minutes has been appalling. I mean, just really horrible.
Yeah.
Awful.
Hideous.
Awful. We'll do the secret menu story tomorrow, maybe.
That's not time for food.
Big cat fears grow in... Who was the guy who was looking for pumas, he used to call us? Chris?
Luke? Was it Luke?
He was a nut job either way, but maybe he wasn't.
He was a security guard, a man of
Well, a lot of them are.
influence
They can't get...
responsibility.
They work at night. Anyone who works at night is a weirdo. What time's Paul on? Big cat fears grow in southwest as Jim Boss spots large feline in Devon after spate of sightings in neighbouring Cornwall. Britain's big cat outbreak could be wider than first feared after a man claims he has spotted one twice in a second county. Steve Swatton, 63, this is probably because my cat has just gone for a walk, claims he's seen a large fawn cat and a large black cat on the outskirts of his home city of Plympton, Devon. He spoke out after reading about the recent sightings and incidents in... Oh, come on. There's not a place called Harrowbarrow.
Yes.
Harrowbarrow.
Why not?
It's like Haribo. Look at the state of him. Mr. Swatton, co-owner of Flex Fitness Gym, said the first time he saw a big cat in Plympton... What? Listen to this. Oh, okay, right. He said it was probably about 50 yards in front of me. I saw a real big cat and I knew it wasn't a normal cat because of the tail. I don't know if I'd buy all of this. Big cats, Paul. Big cats, you buy this?
It was a hardy annual when I was training on local papers in the West Country, even in the early 80s. The Beast of Bodmin.
The Beast of Bodmin.
The Exmoor Panther. We had as well the Exmoor Panther. And they tried to pretend there was one in a place called Topsham, which the locals pronounced Topsam. And it wasn't at all. It was a great big ginger cat, because the RSP came out and said, here, we did the kind of classic photograph. The disgruntled RSPCM holding up a ginger moggy.
One of my favourite guests on Howard Hughes, the marvellous Howard Hughes, Sunday nights at 10 o'clock, was... the woman who claimed that she had been chased by a Yeti in Manchester, and that there are a series of tunnels.
We've all been on those stages.
There was a series of tunnels under Manchester that come right down through the Pennines, where the Yeti, all these Sasquatch, live underground, and she made it her life's work. This happened 50 years ago. She made it her life's work to find these Yeti, and she's so far she hasn't caught them yet. But she keeps on trying.
It's only a matter of time, surely.
You got Billy Bragg on.
We have, yes. He's got a great documentary out this Friday on BBC 4 about skiffle.
Oh, because he wrote a book about it.
A couple of years ago. It's great.
Brilliant.
Oh,
there's a documentary.
Yeah, documentary this week, and he's been all over the place. They've got some amazing footage of schoolboys being interviewed by Hugh Weldon, the kind of great BBC early broadcaster, talking about skiffle. And there's a frightfully posh schoolboy who's young Jimmy Page in a skiffle band.
There you go.
So some great stuff. So Billy Bragg's grateful. He's also got a book out about a kind of Faber have launched a new series of effectively political essays, and he's the launch author. So he's talking about that as well. So a bit of politics from Billy, of course, and skiffle.
He's brilliant, Billy Bragg. I don't know much about his music, but when I was in the jungle, Shappy was a big Billy Bragg fan, and she recommended a couple of albums, and I got them, and they're great. And we had him on the show, and he's just the nicest.
Yeah, he is. Very level-headed.
Real gentleman.
For a while portrayed by the tabloids as some kind of raving trot, and he's not that at all.
No, and I was kind of expecting that. He was doing some filming for a Top of the Pops, retrospective, and he fitted me in, and he was just such a delight. Oh, I look forward to that. I'll listen to it.
So we're doing that, and also, we've got a space story with a twist. We're going to Houston in Texas, because they've just had this major interplanetary conference, and the man who's been organising it for 5 years got very fed up because he said, I'm reading these 500-600 word tomes. So they run each year now a haiku competition.
Oh.
So you have to boil down all your research into 17 syllables with a seasonal reference.
Oh.
So he's telling us about this. It's a lovely way to kind of approach this, and it's got to refer directly to your research.
Here's the thing, we've only got 30 seconds, so we won't have time to answer that. I don't really understand how haikus work. I know it's a certain number of syllables,
17.
but it has to be...
And the season must be referred to.
Right, that's the rule.
There's a famous, wonderful female haiku writer and I've only got the English translation, and she lost her son when her son was 9.
Yeah.
And she wrote this, the translation. I wonder in what fields at play he chases butterflies at play, my little boy who went away. And the butterflies is the seasonal reference. So it's just the one, and that shows you what you can do in 17 syllables.
We can't.
I take 4 hours of load of old tosh.
We can't top that. We'll be back tonight at 10. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Catherine. Paul Ross is up next. This is Talk Radio.
Talk Radio, the 21st century dream team of dialogue, debate and discourse.
Talk Radio. Give it some lip.